action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, as we say hi. The Masters round one. It's going to be perfect. Look, we look for this type of setup when it comes to the Masters, and that's weather. We've had bad weather there at Augusta National over the past decade or so, smatterings of bad weather. But today was perfect. It's going to be perfect all weekend, which should, and again, remember, it rained on Monday, so that should set up a soft course for people to fire into. And the people today start with Justin Rose, the South African. Remember, he has won a major, I believe the U.S. Open in 12, somewhere in there. Dustin, fact check that for me. But a good guy, a gentleman in Justin Rose that has led after the first round of the Masters many times, maybe 5, 6 times. Maybe this is the 6th, which we'll get to in just a second. I see Justin, 7th time. Okay, 7 under today. He went low. Corey Connors, also, who I know a lot of people like, 4 under. He went low as well. Pardon me. Scotty Scheffler, no surprise. Aberg is there. Tommy Hatton is there. DeChambeau is 3 under. So you go on and on. Look, you're probably going to want to finish 70 or below in the first round. Most times, outside of 19 with Tiger Woods, the winner overall at Augusta comes as a top 10 player coming out of round one. So you look at those top 10s and you see. So you got Rose, Connors, Scheffler, and on. A day where Justin Rose, what'd you say it was? 5, 6, 7 times, Dustin?
So it's actually 7. So Justin Rose has led or co-led the Masters round, first opening round, 7 times in his career. That's the most of any player in tournament history without a Masters win.
Yeah, I would say if you have a cash out opportunity. Cash out opportunity, you're going to want to do that because he's going to falter. We know this.
60-1 to be the first round leader. That was the odds on him to lead the opening round. 110-1 to win this thing outright. It's now down to 7-1 at DraftKings. That is a massive drop. I legitimately, when I heard Justin Rose was the leader, and I am not exactly someone who follows golf, in my head I said, that guy's still on the PGA Tour. He's still playing. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's probably only 44, 45, somewhere in there. So, of course, continuing to play and play well. I think he won in 23. He's been a very good golfer on the tour for a very long time, the South African. So Justin Rose there. You look up, you see Scotty Scheffler 4 under. The guy is just a machine. He's an all-time great. Already has 2 green jackets. We'll find out what happens with him. As far as the interest on the show, Morikawa was somebody I was interested in, but let's start with Rory Mcllroy. And Rory absolutely imploded. So it looks like Rory went into the 15th 4 under. So he's right there in the mix. He doubles the 15, and then he doubles 17 to go out in 39 and shoots an even 72. That is a disaster. There's no other way. He went, let's see, after the first 9, he's 33, so he's 3 under. Yep. And then he gets to 4 under after 13, the par 5, and then he doubles to 15 and he doubles 17 and he ends up even. That is about as bad as you can do or as you can start if you're Rory McIlroy, because the pressure was on coming in. Dustin and I talked about it yesterday. He really is the story. When Tiger's not there, the story then turns to Rory. Rory won 4 majors between 2011 and 2014. He was 24, 25 years old when he won his 4th major. We're looking at not just an all-timer, but when you combine everything, including the swing, which is as aesthetically pleasing as any swing in the history of golf. You talk about the length, his personality, everything about Rory, being anti-live, which I like to see. I don't care if people take the cash. I just like the fact that somebody had the nuts to stand up like Rory, like Tiger, against the donks, running over to live and completely imploding the sport. You like what Rory has done for the sport of golf. But this is his 11th attempt. And as far as, listen, 3,800 days since he's won a major, and he's, 35 years old. That's incredible. And his personal life has come back into form. You like to see it. Getting back together with Boo Boo. He's got a daughter. They had the par 3. Everything's good. And then Dustin, he comes into this one. He's won 2 times this year. He won at the Players last month. He's ranked number 2 in the world. And he is putting together a banner first round. And over the 4 final holes today, he completely implodes. And it's completely on him. And it's all in his mind.
Isn't that what makes it frustrating? Isn't it what kind of kills golf fans the most about Rory is how spectacular he can be? And then for whatever reason at this course, the biggest one of the year, every year, it just doesn't work. The 3 under at the turn, that was his best first 9 at the Masters opening round since 2011. He was +4 combined the last 10 first 9s at Augusta. But you're really good on the golf. I think you undersell how good of a golf fan you are sometimes. So I just have to ask you because I have to look these things up. And there's 2 other golfers that came up when I went through the list of people who have won all the majors, but the Masters, the green jacket, has eluded them for their career. And that's Tom Watson, 8 majors, tied for second in 1970. Lee Trevino, 6 majors, tied for 10th, top 10s twice in his career, but never won the Masters. So my question for you is, what does winning the green jacket do for Rory's legacy? Like, where does it put him? What echelon is he in terms of greatness?
Well, a sport that's been around forever, there have been 5 golfers that have completed the career Grand Slam. So he would be number 6. That vaults him into, you just mentioned 2 greats, Lee Trevino and who'd you say, Watson? Never won a green jacket. Those are 2 pretty good ones. When you think about Rory, Lee Trevino would be a step below Watson, but when you think about Rory, Rory's got 4. Trevino had 6. Trevino was known for shtick, but Trevino was a hell of a golfer. So yeah, I mean, it would put him into, and it's just specifically, I know for an American, Augusta matters. It's odd what it matters, how much it matters to Europeans. Like, he's a Northern Irishman, so he is a guy that's part of the UK, essentially.
Yeah.
And for them, Augusta National, I don't know why this is, because they have such reverence for their courses over there. But I have talked to some Brits that, the European players want to come to the States and want to win the best tournament in America, and that's the Masters at the best course in America, and that's Augusta National. So, to answer your question, and that's why we see it now. 11 tries. He's got 6 top 10s. He was the runner-up in 22. The runner-up in 22 is a little mispriced because he was so far behind. I believe it was Scotty Scheffler at the time.
Yeah.
But he's been in the mix.
Yeah,
he's also
always.
melted down. He hasn't Greg Norman melted down at Augusta, but he has certainly melted down. I'm surprised, because he does have quite a temperament. Like, he is a competitive guy. He's not somebody that is shaken easily. He's composed. He's probably the best quote in sports, right up there. Always willing to talk, loquacious, very outspoken. I love the guy, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised with the meltdown today. I put a lot on him to win the tournament at 6.5 to 1.
Yeah.
So a little bummed out over those final 4 today at Augusta.
More bummed out for your money, or more bummed out because you're not seeing him reach his potential and fulfill like the greatness? Because he's the guy. He's been on the scene for a long time, since he was like a child, essentially, right? We've known who Rory McIlroy was for a really long time. Even as someone who doesn't really follow the sport, I know about Rory. I've heard him a lot. I've watched him a lot. And what is the cross-sport comparison? That's the question, because Rory, when it's all said and done, he won't be the greatest of all time. This isn't like a player who is just missing that title to say that they're the best in their sport, but he's in that group below. He's in that next tier of greats. Is this Ted Williams? Is this Dan Marino? Like, where are we putting him at this point in what he's accomplished so far? At really 35 years old, he still has a good 10 years left.
Yeah, he does. I mean, if you think about it, Tiger's going to be 50. Tiger just won the Masters in 19 off a billion injuries.
Yep.
You kind of hate to compare anybody to Tiger, but you can throw Rory in that Spieth and Rory to me are the corollary in modern day golf because if you remember what Spieth did, where I think he picked up those 3 majors, kind of the same timeline chronologically with age as Rory, and then Spieth had a meltdown at Augusta where Willett won, and since then Spieth has been, and Willett's an Englishman. Since then, Spieth has just not been the same player. Now, with golf, it's interesting too because Spieth and Justin Thomas, they've changed or gone into a different kind of way of life with children and stuff. And then when that happens, sometimes people go one way and sometimes people go the other way. Scotty had a kid too. All Scotty does is keep on winning because he is a legitimate robot. It's also, wasn't it a year ago last year at this time, or was it 2
Got
years?
arrested?
When he got arrested, and it's the craziest story I've ever woken up to in my whole entire life. If you said everybody on every tour across the planet is lined up, who's going to get arrested? I would say Scotty Scheffler, who loves Jesus Christ. And I'm not knocking him for it. This is not me judging religion. I'm just saying he lives by certain ideals.
He's a good person. And also, he's 2-1 to win this thing. 68. He's 2-1 right now on the board to win this thing. That is a crazy price. And if you wanted to hammer that bet right now, I would not judge you because that is how locked in that guy is. He is playing on a level right now that I don't know the comparison outside of Tiger Woods. He is at the top of the board every single week when it matters. And he had a couple highlight reel putts today. One from 40 feet and another one from like 62. They were spectacular shots.
Oh, that's interesting. He's 2-1.
2-1 at DraftKings. He is minus 340 to finish in the top 5.
That's a joke. The 2-1, you're getting a discount. Hammer it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
if you can get 2-1 on your money on Scheffler trailing Justin Rose and Corey Connors, and I love Coco. I love Connors, but he's not going to beat Scotty Scheffler. See, the problem with somebody like a Morikawa, a problem with some of these dudes is when it comes down to Sunday and the pressure's on, will they melt? And I like Morikawa. Morikawa went even today, so he's not going to, most likely not going to, he could still be in the mix, but you'd prefer shoot a 69-ish somewhere in there today. I like a Morikawa, but when the lights are big, I'm concerned about him. Scotty Scheffler, I don't even know if he has a heartbeat. So I'd be safe with him 2-1 right now.
He's a killer. He's a closer. And if it comes down to, what do they call the golf overtime? What's it called? One-on-one, whatever it is, the extra round.
What's the extras? Yeah. Every tournament plays the extras differently. So
okay, but he'd be laying a price in that situation. Right now, your boy Morikawa
be laying
on the board.
Price, yes.
He's 8th at 30-1. Rory's 12-1. Do you believe the fortitude is there where he can right the ship and figure it out? Crazy. We've seen him mount comebacks at the Masters before, right? It's happened where he's gotten back into the mix. It happens to people every now and then. Do you believe Rory can get back into it? Because at 12-1, when you talk about skill set and what he's capable of being, that's a pretty big number for a guy that talented.
You know what? It's a short field, 95 golfers, small field, small cut down to 50 after 36. Even right now, Rory even, Morikawa even. Let's see who else. Cam Young's even. Niemanen's even as well. Sergio, who's won a green jacket, is even. I'd probably cut it like with the Lowrys at 1 under.
Yeah.
Hovland's 1 under. I probably would go there, to be honest. Patrick Reed, Mr. America, he's 1 under. We don't want to see him win. That's for sure. DeChambeau's 3 under. Just giving you some of these names that I'm looking at here.
Lowry's an interesting price. Lowry shortened up. So he was 60-1 pre-tournament. He's 35-1 now. You can get plus 170 to come in the top 10. But what about Rory top 10 minus 140? It doesn't feel like there's a chance he drops out of the top 10 here.
Rory, I do have a top 10 on Rory. I have a top 10 on Morikawa. You know what? That's a great question. As far as fortitude, it's a good way of looking at it. I'll be very surprised, not very surprised, very intrigued to see how Rory handles round 2 tomorrow. Well, maybe you can check out his tee time because I'll be interested and dialed in on that. The problem is who they're chasing. It's not Justin Rose. Justin Rose is going to fade. I'm not saying I hope he does. I'm just simply saying history shows us that he has faded after the round one lead at Augusta. You're chasing Scotty Scheffler. So if you're 4 strokes back, you're sitting even, and Scheffler is only going to build on. He went 33, then he went 35. Just a ho-hum 4 under for Scheffler today. The problem with sitting 4 strokes back after 18 is that's who you're chasing. So that's daunting, to say the least.
Yeah, that's why I'd look top 5s, top 10s, because I wouldn't want to be in the mix with Scheffler at the top. He's a killer. He's a closer. He knows how to get it done when it matters on Sunday, and he's looking to get number 3.
How about Freddie Couples? I know Dog's a big fan. He's been on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Chris Russo plenty of times, but Freddie Couples, also sweet swing. He is 1 under today. He finished up at 1 under, so that's very impressive for an elder statesman. I would say Corey Connors is interesting, the Canadian. I think I had him a top 10. I had so many bets on this. I don't really know.
He's a guy a lot of people were into this tournament. I had never heard the name, to be honest, until this year, but he's a name that was making the rounds where people said he is a long shot play. 16 to 1 right now.
What is he?
16 to 1.
Okay, 16 to 1. Do we have a tee time for Rory tomorrow?
I couldn't find the tee time. Connors opened 50 to 1 down to 16 to 1. Let me see if I can get the Rory tee time. I couldn't find it.
It's all good. It's just I'm actually fascinated to see what ends up happening as far as him tomorrow. You know, the meltdown's going to crush him going in after 18, so we shall see. Let's get your calls. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888 623 3646. So round 1 in the books at Augusta. Again, I've got the forecast here. It's going to be perfect. Today, exquisite. Tomorrow's the only day we could potentially deal with some rain. 73 degrees, 44% chance rain is what I'm looking at right now. And then Saturday, you got 68, no rain. Sunday, 73, no rain. So perfection.
9:58 Eastern time. So 6:58 our time.
My time. Okay. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that.
And he's with
front 9. His first 9 is going to be very important because you'll know immediately with Rory if he does bounce back. But I can't even imagine 4 under going into 15 and finishing up your round even. That's a disaster.
Well, the messed up, as someone who lives in their own head, what I would tell you from watching Rory, we know it's not physical. We know it's all mental. And now there's the game being played overnight of, well, why do I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening to me? How do I rectify this tomorrow? And now the pressure's on. And now he's going to go out there and you hope he can clear his head. But there's always a chance that everything that went down today just keeps living there and he can't get it out. And it just leads to another meltdown. That is the problem now. It's not a physical issue. If it was a physical issue, that is easy to understand and rectify. It's a mental issue. That's a problem.
Yeah, I was just looking to see because it does change at tournaments. For the Masters, the playoffs are a sudden death. It's used to break ties after 72. Players alternating between, that's right, 18th and the 10th. I remember maybe it was Angel Cabrera and the good-looking Australian kid, Scott, maybe years
Adam
ago.
Scott?
Adam Scott. Adam Scott went to a playoff with Cabrera, who just got out of jail. Those two went to a playoff where Scott beat him in sudden death. So, yeah, at Augusta, they go 18th. They alternate between the 18th hole and the 10th hole. It changes at every tournament. It's the best. It's the first major of the year. Remember how they now have it. You go 1, Augusta, and again, the only tournament played at the same course every year, obviously. Yes. I now believe it's the PGA, your second, and then you go U.S. Open, and then you go British.
You know how I know the Masters is like legit amazing? Because as someone who's not a golf guy, I have questions. Like, people talk about the history. Well, isn't the history kind of dicey with who they did let in back in the day? Like, the course pretty much the same every year, but people still love it. The field, it's limited. People still love it. The jacket isn't that kind of shtick, but people like you who love golf, every year it brings you to a different level of love. It feels like every single year.
Well, I think if you've been to Augusta, which I'm sure you've driven through the town.
Yeah,
it's
an asshole. Look,
You
As someone
couldn't
who lives in
even
Georgia, it's not even a top 5 town in the state of Georgia.
you couldn't even imagine. Now, I've never actually seen the course, but what people describe, and I'm talking hardened and weathered, been everywhere, seen everything, people, including people on the tour. They say when you drive into Augusta National, that it's insanity. When you're talking about the undulation, you never would believe that that town would produce such a hilly layout, which is exactly what it is. You know, water all over the place. Amen Corner with the par 316, Rays Creek. Just the undulation. People say it's such a hard course to walk, but that is definitely but if we talk about bucket list and sports parlance, that's right up there.
Yeah, I guess my point is you're kind of a hater. You don't like shtick. You don't like, but you love this. Is my point. It lives up to it every year for you.
Now they're going to kill you with the merch. They completely gouge you on merchandise, but they'll give you a pimento sandwich for $1.25.
Little egg
so
salad.
You like to see the concessions stay reasonable, but they will kill you. They will
go eat
kill
an egg
you.
salad. Go eat an egg salad sando in the sun. Have fun with that day. Have fun with your afternoon in the porta potty.
I would like to do that. So Scotty, your last year winner, his second green jacket. Remember, Rahm won in 23. Maybe you can, while I'm giving these big guys, maybe you can let me know where Rahm sits right now. Scotty in 22. Matsuyama, who I saw, I think he's 1 over on the round today in 21. DJ, who stinks, he won in 20. And then Tiger with the comeback in 19, which was improbable. Like, we're never going to see. I was listening to something, and they mentioned that Tiger won it in 19, and it still is one of those things where I can't quite conceptualize that coming off the injuries and coming back like he did in the tournament. That now Tiger had a lot of fortuitous stuff happen in front of him, with a lot of good golfers melting down. But then you wonder, is that the Tiger effect? Because they could feel the cat coming behind them. You got it.
I'm trying to find my computer crashed when I pulled up.
That's all right. Let's do this. Let's start with the calls on the Masters. Again, I think the big story here is there's no surprise that you're going to have Scheffler just a couple of strokes back, 3 strokes back of Justin Rose. No surprise that Justin Rose, is South African, leads the Masters after 18. He's done it a million times. Corey Connors is in the mix. Aberg is in the mix.
Rahm
see.
63rd +3.
Rahm is 3 over?
3 over. Yeah, I think the back end of his round went really poorly. Because in my notes, I had something about Rahm. Went from, he was opposite. No, it was a bad round. 14-1 to 35-1. Yeah, he had a bad round.
Yeah, he dipped. Cam Smith's in the mix. Okay. So let's open it up. I think just the problem, it's a good question you asked, like, where would I start after round 1? I would like to think, I genuinely say at Augusta, you got to be in that top 10 after 18. That's been pretty consistent. So, but again, you're chasing Scotty. So let's get your thoughts. 888-623-3646. Let's start in Connecticut and say hi to Russ here on VSiN Live. Hi, Russ.
How you doing?
Good, Russ. What's up?
First time caller. So you guys were talking about people that choke in the Masters. Remember the Shark back in 83, 84?
Well, the Shark fell apart and Faldo ended up winning. Wasn't that 96 somewhere in there, though?
Yeah, okay, 96. But, yeah, I remember that. I've been following the golf for a very, very long time. But, yeah, so I don't know if Rory can do it. I don't know. I mean, he's been there, and it seems like he gets to that point. I mean, he plays so well in all the other tournaments, the same thing that Norman did, the same thing. And he just, for some reason, he just can't get past this tournament.
You're right. No, Russ, you're right. I think it was 96. Maybe
96.
Fact check me. Yeah, listen, Greg Norman, that meltdown. Is it Vandalay?
78. He shot a 78 and lost to Faldo.
Yeah, no, Faldo won it. Maybe not Vandalay at the British, I believe it was, but Faldo's was right up there as one of the worst. Look, I do believe that there is something. It's almost as a corollary with what we saw from last night. Dustin and I were having a debate when we saw Luka crying. And you're like, all right, so the Mavs played the retrospective on the Jumbotron, and Luka was obviously emotional. I think we all have different wiring. That's pretty obvious. And I think somebody like a Luka, he's not created the same as I think Jokic is the same way. Maybe it has something to do with the Eastern European stuff they've got going on. I don't know. Their upbringing, I don't know. But Rory concerns me in this spot because he's emotional. He's a guy that wears his emotion on his sleeve. He'll never sidestep a conversation or an interview after round. I just like the guy. I was walking around. I think I told you this before. I was with a friend and we were going to get dinner in Tribeca back in the day. And she was bougie. I didn't have any money. I was just going to visit her and her husband. And we were trying to grab a cab. So this must have been years before even Uber. And we were trying to grab a cab, and I ran up to grab a cab, and I bumped into a guy, and he was a small little guy. And I looked over, and there was this striking blonde with him. But she was tall. She was like 5'11-ish. And I was like, oh, no. I'm sorry. Go right ahead, because I had jumped in front of him. Couldn't have been more polite. And I looked down, it's Rory Mcllroy. I was like, hey, little guy. And then he was with Carolyn
Wozniak.
She was Scott. I mean, she was a tower over him.
Good for him.
Confidence. So
hey,
anyway, out in the real world, just as kind as he comes across on television. That's the vibe I got.
I'd say the proof that he was with her, that's proof that he has the confidence to overcome these mental hurdles he's dealing with.
Yeah, maybe that
short king. Shout out to a short king.
Shout out to the short kings and Rory. And he's gotten himself in shape. He's completely transformed his body. Now let's see if the mental can go along with it. Our buddy Al in White Plains here talking Masters. Hi, Al.
Short people, baby. Hope you guys are doing well.
What's up, Al?
Look, I dig Rory for a lot of the same reasons you do, Patrick. I didn't like him at first because I'm never all over this when they're ready to hand over the mantle. Like the guy, he's the next guy. Wait a second. You know, there is no next Tiger. All right, there is no next Golden Bear. Let's calm down a little bit. So when he bombed at the Masters and imploded, I was tickled. But as time has gone on, he has grown on me because he has come back and become a fabulous player. I loved it when he stood up to Liv and told him to go take a flying hike and stood up for the PGA. And I root for him all the time now. And look, Arnie had the PGA. That kept him from the career Grand Slam. Phil has had the U.S. Open, and we all know what happened on the 18th hole when he was a heartbeat away. And Rory's got, Augusta. And he's kind of like the right-handed Mickelson. He's got a beautiful game. He's got a great stroke. The people love him. But at any given moment, he can implode. But I think he's going to be okay. Whether it's this year, next year, I think he'll eventually win one. I think he'll come back tomorrow and play well. He'll go out tomorrow and shoot 69 or 68, and you're right back in the thick of things. And, I meet a couple clients this afternoon at a golf course in Westchester at the 19th hole. And, of course, as soon as I get there, I know he's 4 under, and I check the TV, and he's on 15, and it's the pitch. And, you would think at 67, after 60 years of watching, me talking to the TV would have some impact when I'm saying, stop, ball, stop. Just didn't listen. And it went in. I was like, damn. And that's the double, and that was the beginning of the end of the round. But I think he'll bounce back tomorrow. I really think he's going to play well. Obviously, who knows who's going to win it. But I would love to see him come back tomorrow and be strong, just to put away a lot of this talk. I'm like, all right, imploded again,
right.
He's done. Doesn't win, he doesn't win. But I'd love to see at least him bounce back and compete. Real quick on Luka, cold-blooded last night. He has no pulse, all right? Last night, to do what he did off of, again, like they talked about it, this is not a guy who left in free agency. It's not a guy who demanded a trade. It's not a guy who weaseled his way out with a trade or negotiated a trade. It's a guy who didn't want to leave and was shocked at the trade. And now he comes home He's got tears in his eyes, and he goes out, and obviously I haven't seen every game of his career. But that was the best game he's played as a Laker, and that was the best game I've ever seen him play. And the other thing I noticed about it, very little bitching to the officials last night. Maybe
That's a good point. He was focused. No, Al, great call. He was focused. I'll get to your thoughts on Rory, but just to quickly wrap up the Luka conversation, we were dialed into that. No pulse is a good way of explaining it, but I also think that that's something that you have to take into account when you're measuring the trade. We were talking yesterday about this being the worst trade in the history of sports, and the reason why is you can't just give me the statistics. You can't just give me the fact that he's 25 years old. You have to somehow measure temperament. And if he's the type of person that is that dialed in and that fastidious on the court, the stuff that you were doing as a 25-year-old, the stuff that I was doing as a 25-year-old, like to have some hookah, like to have a couple of beers. You start to, most people start to kind of gravitate away from that. So if he starts to do that 27, 28, 29, once he gets into his prime, the point about anybody trying to complain or trying to argue for the Dallas Mavericks side is that you've got a 31-year-old AD, you've got a very old Kyrie at this point who's injured, and you got a bunch of questions with injuries in that front court. It is not arguable whether or not it was a good trade. It was a horrific trade. You then have to go back, measure temperament, which is what Luka showed you last night, and then understand he is not in his prime and he's years away from his prime. So I know you want to litigate it. Yeah. There's no need to litigate the trade. I'm just saying he's not even close to his prime yet, and he's an all-time great already.
And what he is and what he's proven to be at 25 years old, he showed it again last night. And last night was another example of why you can't trade someone when you're a franchise and you find a player that's transcendent, that can carry you in a series all the way to the NBA Finals, carry you in the playoffs, all the way to one away from a Larry O'Brien trophy. Every team in the league is looking for someone like that. There are teams, half the teams making the postseason this year don't have a guy that's capable of doing what Luka can do. That's why you don't trade him. We have 30% of the league currently tanking the end of their regular season schedule to get Cooper Flagg in the hopes he can become that guy. Luka can take over a game. He can take over a series. If you happen to be lucky enough for one of them to fall into your lap because the ping pong balls were good to you, you never let them go. That's what makes the trade even worse because Luka showed what he is again.
Yeah, it was electric last night. It was great theater. We're lucky to watch it. It's one of those events where you're just like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is why we like sports. And we like sports because of the Masters at Augusta National. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. We'll continue with your calls. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We've got Isaiah, New York City, Ryan Smith, Las Vegas. You can find us YouTube at VSiN Live, but we're coming right back with your phone calls. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN's on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. And as an exclusive offer for you, SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners, you can get full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $19. You're going to get the daily emails, including the golf bets, updated. So make sure you go check that out. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings Circa Sportsbooks, plus our Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide when it drops this summer. Go to vsin.com/subscribe and use the promo code SIRIUS to lock in the deal. VSiN, the sports betting network. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. You can find us on YouTube. Follow along for absolutely free at VSiN Live. Dustin mentioned the Pistons are hosting the Knicks tonight. That's key because the regular season ends on Sunday, and the Pistons are going to play the Knicks in the first round. That is going to be the 3-6 matchup, and I've got a little scenario I want to run by all of you coming up in just a little bit. Potentially travel to New York City for a game or two at MSG. We shall see. Let's get back to your calls. Rory is the story. Again, Justin Rose goes low, 7 under. He's done it before. He's led after 18 at Augusta many times. You've got Scheffler looming 3 strokes back at 4 under. That is no surprise whatsoever. And then headed to the 15th today, you had Rory 4 under. Oh, my God. To say it even out loud is crazy. He was 4 under going into the 15th, so he's playing immaculately. He doubled the 15th, he doubled the 17th, and he ends up even par. So shoots a 72, and we head into tomorrow's 18. 888-623-3646. Let's go here on VSiN Live to Tennessee and say hi to James. Hi, James.
Hey, Patrick. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, buddy. What's up?
Got 3 quick points. One,
Please.
I hope that Scheffler doesn't win. He shows no emotion. He's not fun to watch. I hope he doesn't win. Number 2, let's not let Roy off the hook. Although he's never won Augusta, he's always he's also choked like a dog at every other Masters the last 10 years, including the British Open, which he had a 2-stroke lead on going into 17, and then he 3-putts 18. And then number 3, did you hear about the amateur that played with Scheffler today, Ballister? He urinated in Rays Creek. Luckily, the fans can't have cameras, so nobody caught him, but he admitted it when he was interviewed. That is terrible karma. He said that he had to urinate in the river. He didn't even know it was Rays Creek. I feel like this is a terrible omen for the rest of his career, and he should be arrested.
That's a great. Those are 3 great points, James. Thank you. That's hallowed ground. That is holy water. Listen. I urinated behind a tree up in East Lansing at Michigan State and got arrested. Okay, that is a big difference between urinating in Rays Creek, which is holy water.
Yeah, whipping it out at Augusta National, that is an aggressive move. I don't care who you are, that is an aggressive move. What I used to do was if I had to go before a baseball game or something growing up, I'd go out to the outfield, I'd go on one knee, and I'd make it look like I was praying before the game started, pull it out and go.
Okay. All right. There
Strategy.
you have it.
Strategy.
Yeah, tips and tricks from the big guy. Let's say hi to, let's go to Jersey and say hi to John here on VSiN Live. Hi, John.
Hi, fellas.
Hey,
How you
buddy.
doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm the one who called up and called you a heroin dealer a couple of weeks ago. When you were talking about
absolutely. Yes.
Poor Justin. I got a question though. When we were talking about the, I heard you guys Monday night after the hoops game or Tuesday, talking about how close the over under is. Are the casino, and just I'm not a gambler, but are they figuring it out based on like an AI tool, or is it like a human coming in and like I'm amazed that sometimes they're picking Mac basketball or like some Loyola playing Marist, and it's like a 132 over under, and it comes in at 131 or 133. Like, how are they getting it so close? Is it computer or is it like people coming up with that?
Yeah, they call it the opening lines. And so different books are respected for different sports and setting the opening number. And oftentimes what will happen is like, I still believe Pinnacle, and Dustin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but an offshore books essentially sets the NFL lines. And then even books in Las Vegas will take that number, copy and paste, throw it up there, and then dictate how they move their number on how early betting comes into their market. What they're trying to do at a sports book is balance the action, as you can imagine, because they're going to make money.
Right.
Off
They
the
want it on both
beverage.
sides, right?
Yeah. So what they're trying to do is balance that. They don't want to have liability either way. To answer your question,
do you
as
think
far
the
as
offshore guys are the offshore guys coming in with a computer figuring that out, or is some guy just like,
yeah, there
hey,
are.
this is what?
It's a great question. There are algorithms, and the reason I say offshore is because I know this sounds crazy, but offshore are much more progressive than anything that's happening in Vegas. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Vegas, but offshore, you will have models, and oftentimes they will feed the numbers into those models and come up with a number, and then they will have humans then dictate what they want to do with the number, knock it up a half, knock it down a half. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep. Thanks, fellas.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
And remember,
okay, yeah. No. Oh, sorry, John. Call us back. I don't peddle heroin, but I do know too much useless information about sports betting. And so that is one thing that, and Dustin, I know, has been in Vegas for a long time. What happens when you get to Las Vegas is you'll watch television and they'll say, the guys in the desert know. The guys in the desert know how to copy and paste. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. There are shops, and I'll give credit to our buddy at South Point. There are shops, and Andrews, who runs the book at South Point, he will at times take a shot with his rogue number. Why? Because he is a neighborhood book that he knows specifically his clientele, the DraftKings, the FanDuels, Dustin, those type that are omnipresent. They can't mess around with rogue numbers. Andrews can, because he knows his clientele and he knows how those certain numbers are going to be bet. I hope that makes sense. More of a boutique approach to sports and handicapping.
And on your point about they copy the number, remember there was a few years ago, there was a WNBA All-Star game. Someone posted the number first. Everyone else copied that number. None of them knew that the WNBA All-Star game was like an exhibition for the Olympics or something like that. So it was going to be competitive, and they had the total way off. And I think it was like a 20-point difference from the time it opened to the point that it closed, because once word got out that that number was wrong, everyone just kept hammering it down and down because none of them set their own number. They all got caught copying someone else.
Yeah, no, that's a good, and then what happens when a bad number is posted, stale number, bad number, whatever. What's crazy about sports books is there's a code of honor, which is, this to me has always been the dumbest thing of all time. If a sports book posts a bad number, they then put the onus on the bettor. If it's complete, like what Dustin's trying to say right now, if it's completely off, there's a unwritten rule within the sports betting space that you can get banned if you bet that number because it's how would you say, it's not
Cash
shady.
post or
Not shady, but it's untoward or not considered good gamesmanship.
Bad for the ecosystem of sports betting. They look out for you, you look out for them, which is nonsense. Like there's also with live betting, if a book leaves a number up after the half has started and you bet it, they won't honor your bet. But they're the ones who left it up, but you're the bad person for betting the thing that they didn't take down, which is their job to take it down, by the way.
And the offshores, and a lot of them who are opening these numbers, what I would say is, of course, they're using computer programs. My assumption is AI is being taken advantage of in some way, but they also just have very smart MIT type kids that come up with algos. They plug the numbers in, but then I generally still believe that there's a human element where they see the number spit out and they decide what they want to do with it. For example, at the South Point, and Circa's a very sharp book as well, where even though oftentimes they can be off-putting, the people that are putting the numbers together, they're very bright. And I believe they come up with their own numbers. So I'm not going to pretend like others don't. But there is a threesome at the South Point that is Jimmy Vaccaro, Vinny Magliulo, who's a great friend, and Chris Andrews. And there's another gentleman that they really respect. they'll get together, the four of them, and just say, what number you got, what number you got, what number you got, what number you got, and take an amalgamation of that. But they'll also have the number that every other book is using so they don't go haywire. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. But that's the old school approach. That's the fun approach. And then the live betting, that's pure algo. When you're looking
the
at
live betting is just updated because you couldn't do it. I mean, I think when they started, you're right. I think when they started, it was done by. I was live betting in 07, and you could tell it was being done by a human. But you're right.
Crazy.
Now it's way too quick, way too expeditious, so it's done with an algo. Absolutely.
Like for golf, that would be absurd for someone to individually be doing this as the rounds going on. I don't even know how you would keep up with the odds.
Yeah, I remember when you could I was waiting for them to post, and it was like, oh, this is just a donk in Caraco posting this live number. And it was such inefficient. It was the software. The software's bad. I couldn't get paid.
You called it Curacao.
Caraco.
Funniest pronunciation.
Thank you. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Talking Masters here on VSiN Live with John. Hi, John.
How we doing, guys? Couple
John.
things. Well, Rory, I mean, how could you not like him? He's on the Full Swing series. I mean, he shows you his whole life and everything. But you know, the poor guy has a mental problem. I don't mean a mental problem. I mean, it's mentally, He just cannot finish these tournaments. Some people call it a choke. I think he just puts a lot of pressure on himself. I'm a golfer myself. And, you know, a little slightest bit of pressure on your grip or anything makes the ball do funny things. And as far as the Masters goes, the place, Augusta, I'm fortunate. A friend of mine's father actually won the Masters a long, long time ago, Art Wall, 1959. But the place is unbelievable. It's you have a little green chair. You could put your wallet, your phone, $500, and nobody touches it. It's just a great place. And I think the fact that every year it's the same place, I think that's what makes it really special. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree, though, John. There's something about it's what I think Dustin felt it as well. When you go to a Santa Anita, when you go to a Churchill Downs, when you go to a Keeneland, when you go to a racetrack, there is something about the pomp and circumstance, just the tradition, and you're walking into old school. You're just walking into an old school service element where you feel like, hey, things aren't done with an app. Hey, things aren't just you don't just tap your card. No, this is real transactions with human beings, and you just it feels proper.
The no cell phones thing, like on the course, I think that's a winning recipe for success. I think more places on planet Earth need to just ban cell phones. It would just be, you actually enjoy life for a moment. I think that's the thing about the Masters.
I think everything's cyclical. I think I've told you this for many years. I think reading's about to have the biggest comeback in the world. I want to own a bookstore. I think it's coming. And then I believe that cell phones are going to, within the next 10 years, be passé. And people aren't going to allow them into their establishments. And I don't think we're going to be worse off for it. We're back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson, on Patrick Meagher. Isaiah eagerly anticipating Jacob's arrival. You got Ryan Smith, New York City, Las Vegas, at VSiN Live on YouTube. Remember, it wasn't too long ago, our next caller said, "Oh, this isn't. It's still LeBron's team." When Luka got traded, the Lakers couldn't be more Luka's team. LeBron is in awe of Luka, so we say hi to Donkey Donk in the OC. I mean, this is Luka's team. You should be a Luka guy. Don't be a contrarian.
Listen, last night, what is it, Patrick? Last night, we haven't seen something like that since Kobe's last game in 16. Simple as that. No one usually cares about the regular season. A couple of games. That was an event. Wasn't a game, but it was an event.
That's a good point.
The Oscars. It was an event. It was red carpet. You might as well put a red carpet out there, for goodness sakes. Listen, he's an incredible player. Felt bad for AD. He's like, where am I now? They're loving this guy. I'm over here. It is what it is. He's a hell of a player. He's only 25. We'll see where it all goes. Okay, you want to hear my golf story? Check it out.
I
got clubs when I got married in '94, Patrick. They're really golf. I was more of a tennis guy. Lefty. I used to go out and play now and then. God, that sport's hard. Getting the ball off the ground, for goodness sake. So I'm using a wood, using iron. Company tournament every year. Patrick, I swear, a water hole. 10 years in a row. Every effing year, I'm hitting the ball in the water. I can't get the ball over the water. It's like a 3-foot. What is the deal? You ever have those metal blocks? It's like, I don't even care.
Hold on.
Balls in the water.
Yes, it is a hard sport. Breaking news.
It is.
What do your coworkers think of you?
Coworkers?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm all remote. Back then, one of the guys, it's like there's that Angel fan, there's that Laker fan, there's that, the same kind of guy.
You know what you are? I love you. I mean, Dustin can't stand you, but you know what you are? You're like our friend that I was just talking about, Jacob, one of the producers in New York. It's like you're super annoying, but for some reason you want him around. That's Mike. You just want to pet his little head and say, what's the donk doing? He makes it better.
Did he call us while he was eating dinner with his family?
Yeah, he was munching. He was eating. He has no couth.
He's on hold while he's with his family eating dinner every night.
You know what he is? Casual. Can you swallow your food? Professional handicapper, author, Josh Applebaum joins us next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, your home for the best Masters coverage is on Masters Radio, Channel 92. Join Mike Tirico for full second-round coverage from Augusta National Golf Club starting tomorrow at 2 Eastern on Masters Radio, Channel 92 in the car and on the Sirius XM app. So the big guy, Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. This is VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Remember, if you give us a follow on YouTube, make sure you say click subscribe, hit the thumbs up. You can jump in the chat right now. It's absolutely free. You can see Dustin's handsome face. He's in Los Angeles as well. A couple of things. Dustin knows that I'm big into puck. All right? And this is for you, Josh Applebaum. I'm way into hockey. I'm dialed in like I'm dialed in on soccer. Tonight, your boy woke up feeling dangerous. I got the Red Wings at plus 175. They're up 1-0 over the Panthers. I'm telling you, people, the Panthers stink. They're banged up. The Red Wings up 1-0. Start of the second. Let's go plus 175. Then the Sabres are at the Blue Jackets. Yes, I know the Blue Jackets, Josh Applebaum. Take notes. I know the Blue Jackets are good. And I know they just beat Ottawa, and Ottawa's your 1 seed. But the Sabres, who are a couple of games under 500, may be the best team of all time. So the Sabres were catching 115-ish, 120-ish at Columbus tonight. Your boy on the Sabres, Josh. Sabres up 2-1, end of one. Now, let me properly introduce you while I flex, and you can react. VSiN betting analyst, also the podcast All Systems Go. You can pre-order Josh's latest book, the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook, before it comes out in August on Amazon. Your thoughts, Applebaum?
So first off, great to be with you guys. As always, I look forward to my Thursday nights with two of my my wise guy buddies here. Patrick, I love your plays. You know, you could tell me any play, I would tail it 100% nonstop. I give you credit, though, because hockey, to me, is one of the harder sports to handicap. I remember when I first met you, Patrick, I want to say it was with your friend. We went to that bar in Henderson, and what do we have? We had an Oilers game that blew it for us late, but I knew you were a good dude because you're a hockey guy. So what do you remember from that night? And then number two, I actually have a betting-related take on this. All the awards, you know, Vezina, Norris Trophy, all these ones, they're unbettable. But there is the Hart Memorial, the MVP. Patrick, what do you think about Leon Draisaitl? Speaking of the Oilers, he's minus 125. Hellebuck is right next to him, plus 100, but a good bet split. 10% bets, 32% money. Should we grab Leon Draisaitl? He's got 106 points. Pretty good number. Good sharp line move. It's still bettable. Minus 125 ain't bad.
Draisaitl's going to win it. He's going to win it. You think Connor McDavid when you think Edmonton. Do not sleep on Leo. What do I remember? A couple IPAs, Ethel, Elise.
Ethel, that's right. What's she doing? You still talk to her? She's cool. I like her.
Hanging and banging. We were betting the Oilers. We had a great time. Just quickly checking in with the big guy, your boy, Red Wings, Sabres, both winners right now. Let's keep it going, huh?
Yeah,
huh?
People like to say the Masters is a tradition like no other. I call Patrick the Puck a tradition like none other. He doesn't pay attention 90% of the season, but for whatever reason, once the playoffs are like right on the edge of starting, he gets locked into playoff hockey. But my favorite part is 2+ money prices, where I'll be the annoying guy and be like, have you thought about just putting a little bit back the other way on the team that was the favorite that's now a dog, where you can get some of your money back?
That's actually smart. And Josh, you can speak on this because both plus money prices are on the road. You then would think, we always used to do it with the Golden State Warriors when they were in their prime. If the Warriors were down at any point, you got plus money. You just blindly bet it because they're going to come back and win. I don't hate the big guy's approach there with a 1-goal lead in both games there, Josh.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So I think, you know, to your personal style as a bettor, if you bet a dog, you're getting the plus money, especially if you're a bet to risk, not bet to win. So you risk your 1 unit. You know, if you got Buffalo, plus 120, somewhere around there, you get 1.2 back. But my question to you, Patrick, you know, and again, everyone listening here on Sirius XM, if you're on Buffalo plus 120, you could, you know, buy low on Columbus live line, just like Dustin said, at around plus 155. So you're basically guaranteed to get, you know, a quarter of a unit or a half of a unit, no matter what happens. Or do you just ride out your play? You know, what's your guys' take on that? If you got a dog and they're winning, do you ride the dog or do you kind of arbitrage and guarantee a profit, the hedge
Well,
opportunity?
I'll just say this. I wish I wasn't so long-winded with my flexing to open, because we could have got the big guy's advice, because the Panthers have officially tied it up at 1. So my plus 170 play on the Red Wings is now it's a nail biter with a 1-1 tie, 17:02 to play in the second. So I might be late to the party, Josh. I'm sure the adjusted number is closer to the open now.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm looking at it now.
165.
Yeah, Dustin, you got it.
Yeah, Red Wings plus 165, Panthers minus 215. But Josh, I think the thing you bring up about how you approach the unit is important, because I am someone who risks a unit not to win a unit. And I think because of that, it makes things a little bit more difficult in the long run. I imagine you do the opposite approach because you're market-based and successful at this.
Well, Dustin, you are successful too, my man. So don't sell yourself short. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent. This is like nitty gritty. People's, ears are going to, your eyes are going to gloss over. This is so, inside betting. But what you were mentioning, your two options when you're betting are bet to risk or bet to win. This is a concept that's super important. It gets overlooked a ton, but I think you at least want to pick a lane and stick with it. So betting to risk, as you mentioned, Dustin, is you define your bankroll, your disposable income, whatever that is for you, and you're always risking, in a flat betting way, 1 unit per play. So if you got $100, I would recommend 3%, 1 to 5%. Some sharps are 1 to 2%. I wouldn't go above 5%. You're just a little too, bold there. A bad night could really clean you out. But 3%, you're risking $3 a play on a $100 bankroll. You're risking that $3 no matter the price on every game you bet. If you flip it the other way and you're betting to win, that's when, the old, you got to lay 110 to win 100. People think that literally you have to risk $110 to win 100. No, you can risk whatever you want, whatever that is in terms of what it means to you. So I'm a big proponent of flat betting and betting to risk, because Dustin, if you're playing favorites, I'm risking my 1 unit. If you're minus, 120, I'll get 0.9 or 0.85 back, but I don't want to lose 1.2 or 1.1 or 1.7 betting favorites. That's when you get in trouble.
I'm just going to be honest. The reason why I think I need to change the approach is because I'm sick of looking at my account and it being like 46.57. Like, I'm sick of the decimal points. I want the round numbers in my account. So I think it's easier if I do it this way. Because what I'll do is, if I have like $87.33 in, I'll take $7.33 and put it in a big parlay and hope that it hits. But
I do that too, and it's just a mental thing. It doesn't make any difference if you go 2 cents under or 2 cents above.
No,
I like round numbers.
Yeah, but if I do flat betting and I do it to win, to win versus risk, I'll have nice round numbers. On your point about the live betting though, Josh, I like to do it in baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport because teams have bad bullpens. Matchups can happen, especially if a team has a big lead. They bring in some of their worst relievers. Next thing you know, you're in a game. So if I have a dog that I bet and they're like, let's say plus 140, and they're up like 4-0, and I can get 3-1 on the team that's losing 4-0, and it's early enough in the game, I have no problem betting most of what I was going to win on the original bet. And now I'm rooting against my original, but I math it out so that no matter what happens, I can't lose money on the game. That's the one thing I like to do. If I identify a dog and they get out to a hot start, come back the other way, and then you're stress-free.
Yeah, I think it's a great point by you, Dustin. The other thing too, like, one thing I like to do live betting in baseball is like look for extremes in the first inning for totals. Like the other night, you had the San Diego Padres and the A's. We had that crazy trend where the Sacramento Stadium overs were 5-0. It finally lost yesterday. For the first time, it went under. It was 2-1 game. But a couple nights ago, the over 8.5 cashed in the first inning. It was 8.5 total. They scored 9 runs in the first. If you bet the over, obviously you won your bet and it was a great sweat. You didn't have to sweat it at all. But the point being is, if you didn't bet the game after that first inning, a 6-3 score, I think the live line was like 14 on the total or like some ridiculously high number. You could come back, and go the other way and play the under. Now, it's really only in terms of extreme situations, or like, let's say through 5 innings, it's a 0-0 game. The total was 8.5. Now it's 3.5 or some much lower number. You buy low and play that over, because in the end, you will have extreme scores, high or low, but the majority of the time, the final score is going to land somewhere kind of close to where the odds makers predicted, despite a fast or slow start.
I'll say it so Dustin doesn't have to. Josh Applebaum said, quote, "A bad night can clean you out. So can a good one."
You were holding on to that one, man.
By the
Love
way,
it.
at this age, sometimes it's both ends that need to be cleaned out.
So stupid. You know what else sometimes can be stupid? Gambling Twitter. So let's talk CLV. See, I'm
You wanna
getting
go
old
first,
to the
Patrick?
point where I'm getting old to the point where I'll just start saying things. But I'm gonna be 50. I've been doing it for too long. But these kids, these clowns that run around, but it is an important component. So from somebody that is well respected, let's talk what CLV is, what it means, and how you can actually implement it.
Yeah, so I think it's important, Patrick, and you hit the nail on the head, starting with hashtag gambling Twitter. It is such a, such a topic that just gets people so fired up, and you have camps that are just, will die on the hill of CLV means everything, or die on the hill of CLV means nothing. So I think it's just interesting. I would just argue, hey, you out there listening to us have this conversation, you might have your thoughts, or you may not know what it is entirely, and you can pick your position in terms of what it means and the importance. But CLV is closing line value. It's basically comparing the number that you bet a game at versus where the number closes. And the whole idea is that if you are beating the closing line, so you are betting games at better numbers than what they close at, that's a sign of a winning bettor, a smart bettor, a bettor who can read the market, a bettor who anticipated which direction the line may move. So, for example, if you bet the Red Sox at -120 and they close at -140, before the first pitch even starts, you're feeling good about your bet. You bet the Red Sox at a better price than what they close at. It's the mark of a quote unquote successful bettor. However, the little caveat there is just because you get CLV, it doesn't mean you're going to win the bet. So I could bet the Red Sox -120. They could close -140. I'm feeling great because I did my part. I got a good number, and they lose 5-0. So the question is, and I'll throw it to you, Dustin, and Patrick. Of course, I want your take, but like, a lot of bettors will pride themselves on beating the closing line. And Patrick, I always remember you saying this, like, to some professionals, beating the closing line is more important than winning the actual game. But you go on gambling Twitter and it's like, only thing that matters is the outcome. If the bet won, it was a great bet and you're smart. If the bet lost, you're an idiot and you're stupid. But I think, especially for new bettors, the idea is to beat the closing line, because you may lose or have a bad night getting CLV. But if you consistently long-term extrapolate that over thousands of bets, more often than not, you're going to win more than you lose. So, I'll defer to you guys on this one. I think you want to get CLV, but just remember, it doesn't guarantee a win.
Let me just say this, Dustin, I'll let you run with it. As a common practice, Josh explained it perfectly. I think it is a very good plan long-term to continuously or consistently beat the closing number. It's called getting the best of it. You want to get the best of the number. Make it very simple, where the number open, where you bet the number. That's why I always say timing matters. Where you bet the number, where the number closes, you'd prefer have the best of the number. Okay, fair enough. But the idea, and ego is so heavily involved in sports betting, the idea that just because you got the best of it or you got the best of the number somehow makes you levitating above the rest of us is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And that is an overused concept. Go ahead, big guy.
Well, if you do nothing with it, that's the point. Like Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. The line is, just because you're hung like a moose doesn't mean you have to do porn. Just because you got the best of the number doesn't mean you're going to win. I'll give you an example right here. Last season in college football, Kennesaw State, I bet against them on Sam Houston State -14.5. It just so happens I didn't have any inside information. I don't know anyone there. But Kennesaw State, like 30 minutes after my bet, fires their head coach. Then their entire starting lineup on both ends enters the transfer portal. The number jumps over the course of about 5 or 6 days from 14.5 to 20.5. I now have the best number by 6 points in the market. Guess what? Kennesaw State won outright. It didn't matter. It was horrible. But I'm an idiot for not going and trying to capitalize on the number and look for an opportunity to bet the other side. And that's my mistake. That's where I botched it. Because had I done that, I would have walked away at worst even, but with an opportunity for a few point middle.
No, it's a good point. And you can see that too. Like, I'm just thinking in terms of like NFL or college football totals, like with weather involved. like, let's say it totals, 45, my neck of the woods, New England, it's going to be a snowstorm. It's windy. The weather's terrible. That 45 on a Monday is down to 38.5, by the time you get to Sunday. You're holding that under 45. You're feeling fantastic. Do you then try to find that middle and go over 38.5? Now you've created a, 6-7 point middle there, and you can hopefully double up. These are the things you want to look for. I just what really bugs me, guys, is, and I love gambling legalization. Actually, Hawaii is about to legalize gambling pretty soon here too. So I might have to take a trip down to Hawaii and I don't know, hit up White Lotus and bet on some games next year. But it just annoys me with so many new people betting for the first time. It's so results oriented based on the final score. Like there's no acknowledgement of like, hey, like you spent all day capping a game, you got a good number, you beat the closing line, but it doesn't matter because you lost. In a way, that's true because it's a results based, business we work in. But I wish there was an acknowledgement of like the process. Like we can't control what happens on the field, but we can control, how we monitor the market. If you're a wise guy and you set your own numbers, the number you get. I just wish there was a little more, I don't know, acknowledgement of the process versus just the end result.
I'm not going to act like I understand the stock market, but then again, the people in charge, I don't know if they understand it these days either, if we're being fair. But what I would say, it's not a political statement. What I'd say, Josh, but the market is the key word here, because you can buy Disney stock at $50 and you can make money on it. But the people who bought it at $48 made a little bit more than you. It's the same thing going on here when it comes to betting on these games, is if you can get the better number, you can make more money in the long run. That's all it's saying. If you do this each and every week and get the CLV in the long run, you will be more successful.
I totally agree. And again, I think the question too is like, like, for example, I'll give you a game yesterday, guys. I bet the Oakland A's or Sacramento A's, they lose 2-1. I got a -125. They closed like -145. Again, did I make a bad bet because they lost? Did I make a good bet because I beat the closing line? But, again, the results didn't go with me. I just think that, with legalization, I guess the reason why I'm hammering this home is that I almost feel bad for people on Twitter in a way, because they're trying to bet a business that they may not understand the nuance of it. And I think nuance is really important because, if you are programmed where, again, the win-loss at the end, the final score is all that matters, I think you're missing a lot of gambling, and you're missing an opportunity to get better as a gambler. You're just focused on the end result, not the process, not the journey.
You both make amazing points. What my problem is I think the actual sports betting, the people that are in the industry can be a little too myopic. And what we have to understand is 98% of the people paying attention aren't getting out in front of the number. They're not betting the opening number. They're having fun. They just got done with a long day of work. They just made dinner for the kids, and they want to bet on a game tonight coming up in the association. Is it possible for them to get the best of it at that point? Sure. But so what I would do is cheap plug time. You can go over to VSiN.com, become a pro, and you can follow along with the betting splits. You can follow along with the line movement at both DraftKings and Circa. And even if you're not as into it as Josh or Dustin or others, you can have some fun and actually see what we're talking about. You can follow along even if you don't have the time and opportunity to be betting out in front of it like we're talking about. You can still have some fun with it. The process does matter, though, Josh. I think your point is the process always matters in any venture, including sports betting.
Yeah, it definitely does, because again, when you're betting on sports for the first time, I think a lot of people just have, unrealistic expectations. We talk about all the time of, seeing sports betting. It's kind of fun. It's exciting on the outside, but you don't realize how hard it is, and the mental grind and the emotional grind. And I think if you want to get better as a bettor, to me, the key is staying true to the numbers. I try to say that all the time, because once you inject your bias, once you are betting games based on a hunch, or, the term like go with your gut, that always bugs me, Patrick, because to me, it's a cop out. It's like, what should I do tonight? Should I play the Red Sox or the Yankees? And you say, oh, go with your gut. To me, that's just one person being like, I don't want you to pin it on me if I give you the wrong play. Like, I want you to win or lose on your own, which I guess it makes sense. But I just think in terms of looking at betting as, trying to beat a market and getting a good price, like that's half the battle. And you and I, Patrick, are really big fans of Odds Logic, the live odds page. The other part of that is, what did the line open at and where is it currently? Like if you want to bet the Mets tonight, you get home from work, you're up against it. You don't have much time to make a bet. But if they open minus 150 and now they're minus 190, is that a play that you're excited to sweat, or are you getting the worst of it because the numbers move so much? They might win anyway and it may not matter, but I think you want to try to start to train your brain into figuring out, why am I betting this game and what number am I getting? Is the value still there, or should I pass because I've missed the good price?
You can also just order right now Amazon. It's not expensive. The Everything Guide to Sports Betting, if you're just getting involved, by Josh Applebaum, and you can learn about all of the stuff we're talking about right now. We've got our buddy, and you're married to the market, Spencer Aguiar, who does PGA betting for Roto Baller, is going to join us next. He's married to the market as well. We're going to talk Masters with him. So before we do, we can talk the NFL draft next week with you, Josh.
Sure.
UFC betting system. There's a big UFC card coming up on Saturday. I believe your bet. I love your system. Part of it has to do with age. Is this where we're going to go?
Yeah, exactly, Patrick. So I am no gambling Lou Finicaro. He's like, the sharpest guy I know at VSiN, and he has incredible write-ups. I would highly recommend, check out Gambling Lou at VSiN. But during the pandemic, when there's nothing else to bet on in UFC, it was UFC, NASCAR, golf. That's pretty much it. I kind of came up with a very rudimentary model. And what it tries to do is look at the tail of the tape and the betting market. So kind of what I came up with, this is not revolutionary or anything, but I tried to find fighters who are younger, taller, and have a longer reach than their opponent, and then also have a line move in their favor and have a low bets, higher dollars bet split. So I landed on one here. And it is Woodson. Woodson against Dan Ige. Woodson has gotten a ton of steam here in the UFC market. Woodson opened this fight, I think he was like minus 120. It was almost like a pick'em price. Now he's up to like minus 165. So again, number has moved on you. But to the point of this model that I like to play, he's 32. His opponent's 33. Nothing crazy, but 1 year younger. But he's 6'2". His opponent's 5'6". He's got a 78-inch reach. His opponent's got a 71-inch reach. Significant strikes per minute, nearly 6 versus 4. I'll play Sean Woodson and see if we can get a UFC winner here, because he's got the line move, a good sharp bet split, younger, taller, and a longer reach. That's kind of how I play UFC.
I like how you say that's simplistic. That's a tremendous model to come up with when we're bored just drinking wine during COVID. By the way, you could have bet the ponies too. You're like me. You could have.
Yeah, I should have, Patrick.
Not being disrespectful. By the way, Josh, all that flexing I did, the Panthers lead 2-1 over the Red Sox.
Oh man. Well, we'll get the live line on the other side next time. Don't worry.
You're the best. Not just
Thank you guys.
A great man. VSiN betting analyst. All Systems Go is the podcast. I mentioned the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. He's got his new book coming out, the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook, in August. You can pre-order that on Amazon right now. Josh Applebaum, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. Say hi to the girls. I mentioned our buddy Spencer, who's coming up next. We had Spencer on VSiN many times a couple of years ago, maybe. And
last year.
Yeah, he's tremendous. He is market-driven better when it comes to the PGA Tour. And, of course, we're 18 holes in. Round one is over. Masters. We'll come back and talk to rotoballer.com senior PGA analyst Spencer Aguiar here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Got the crew, Ryan Smith in Vegas on YouTube at VSiN Live. Stop by, say hi. Dustin Swedelson here in Los Angeles. I'm Patrick Meagher in Los Angeles. Isaiah Ramirez back in New York City. Mad Dog Sports Radio. So we appreciate everybody. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. So round one of the Masters, Justin Rose, his annual low in round one, and then he'll bow out tomorrow, which is nice, of the South African. Of course, you got Scotty Scheffler, hunting, Rose, no surprise. So there's plenty to talk about, and nobody better to talk to than Spencer Aguiar. We talked to this kid a while back, and he is so sharp when it comes to golf betting. Rotoballer.com. He's a senior PGA analyst there. You can find Spencer on Twitter at TeeOffSports. Spencer, great to see you again. We'll get to strategy as far as betting golf for the novices. We'll get to some of the matchups you like. But let's just talk about this. You're young, so I don't know if where the tradition stands for you. The Masters, what does it signify as a golf bettor that does this for a living, essentially? What does the Masters signify as a tournament?
I'm probably going to give a different answer, Patrick, than most people would come on this show and say. Like, you mentioned it in the lead, and I am a very data-driven person. Everything that I do is by the numbers at the end of the day. So for me, it's another opportunity where you get books that will open up the playbook a little bit. You'll get more matchups available than you will get on most given weeks of it. So there's a lot of opportunities that come into play for me as a bettor, and specifically now as a golf bettor with everything that I do. I'm always looking for as many opportunities as I can get, and the Masters does present that with everything you get out there. You have markets just across the board that you do not find every other week.
I'm just curious, as someone who your life is golf, you love golf, you bet on golf, and you said the Masters is up for a long time. When's the earliest you placed the Masters bet for this tournament? Like, how many months ago was your first play?
I had Robert McIntyre, which did not end up coming out correctly today with it. I got him in at the 200-1 range. As soon as this tournament is done, it's going to be ready to go for the next year. So I'm always looking in future look-ahead markets. I'm always trying to find where can I extrapolate out edges that can be had. And that's the thing with golf that's nice in these four specific majors, is that you have an ability all year long to kind of pick apart those markets.
So explain let's start with the novices. Explain betting golf and the actual calendar, right? So everybody knows with the NFL, you're starting in September and you're going through Christmas into February. For a golf bettor that's dedicated to it, what's your calendar like?
Year round for the most part. I get December off. There's not tournaments that happen in December, but my model is built as a 2-year running model. I have all the data incorporated through it to where as the year goes on, I will change the ranks within my model. I'll change the weights for how much I'm looking for any specific season with it. But I would say essentially we're looking at 300 plus days, and it's something that my eye is, I guess, no pun intended here, on the ball 24/7 almost with it.
How often do you find yourself, before you look at the model, kind of saying, these are guys I'm thinking about? Like, what's the balance for you when it comes to finding guys you want to bet between your model and the numbers, and then looking at how someone's hot or someone you think has an opportunity that even maybe your numbers don't add up to saying back that guy? Like, what is the balancing act for you between your numbers and your heart?
I live by the numbers quite a bit. It's not 100% of that answer. It was talked about before. I think it was Josh that said it right in the segment before me. When you have a gut feeling on something, it usually does not end well. I want a mathematical edge that can be found on it. It doesn't mean that I cannot find an edge, but depending on how exactly I run my model with it, for me, there are a couple different iterations that I'll put out throughout the week. I run it from a statistical perspective. I run it from course history. I take current form. All of those metrics matter for me throughout the week. And, it'll be merged in and out of exactly how important it is depending on what market specifically that I'm trying to find matchups and things of that nature a little bit safer. If I'm looking for upside, it's a little bit more of a statistical perspective in my model. it doesn't mean that here and there you do not deviate away from the script. There are, I think Rory McIlroy is a really good example specifically here at the Masters. He is a golfer where I believe I came on your guys' show last year, and the question was, who is going to win the Masters? And my answer was Rory McIlroy. And as has been the case for this 10-year run where he cannot seem to get this tournament to get across the finish line to capture the career Grand Slam, there is something mentally in his head at this point. And, I'm looking at the data in my model right now, guys, and it's a really unfortunate situation for Rory, because one of the things that I love to do is I take the actual ball striking metrics that somebody puts together, and then I take a 2-year running perspective on the short game stats. So that's around the green and putting. And I try to then extrapolate out what should a player be producing if we were getting those baseline results. Putting and short game are very volatile statistics. It's something that I'd rather look at the baseline than a one-off situation or 2 rounds that come into play. Rory entered hole number 15, a par 5 in the center of the fairway with a chance to potentially make birdie or eagle. He ends up hitting it over the green, making the one mistake that you cannot make, which is Rory's problem every single time at the Masters. It's just he does not play these courses the way that he should sometimes. Double bogeys the hole, double bogeys again coming in. He's now even par. I'm looking at my model to see where he should be sitting after round 1. He should be in first place. That's the unfortunate truth about Rory over and over again at this tournament. There are some really bad statistics for him. If you actually want to back him, 18 of the last 19 winners were within 4 shots of the lead after round 1 at the Masters. 19 of the last 20 were inside of the top 10 after Thursday. I don't think that means that Rory has no chance to come back. You kind of mentioned it, Patrick. Justin Rose was okay today. He was a top 25 projected scorer for me, but he should not be in first place. This is going to end up being pushed back in the other direction. So whatever number we're looking at Rose, I would say we're a little bit closer to that. The problem that comes into play, unfortunately, is Luka's right there with Scotty Scheffler at 4 under. If you take any given day of Rory versus Scotty, I was higher than the market was on Scotty this week. I was a little bit lower on Rory. My fair price on a matchup between these two on any given round was about minus 150. So if you're telling me that Rory is a plus 150 underdog, he has a 4-shot disadvantage and we have 3 days left to catch, that is not shaping up great for him to actually win this golf tournament. And I would love to see Rory do it, but at some point we're going to have to change the way we play the course if you're him.
That is a tremendous breakdown. Spencer Aguiar, rotoballer.com, senior PGA analyst. So let's continue with this thread because, as you can imagine, we do VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. So it's a national program. The first thing we open up the phones, they want to talk about Rory. Likeable guy, great quote. We remember him as a young 20-year-old winning majors, and now it's been since 14 since he's won a major. So he's always kind of like, we want him to close out that Grand Slam. Let me ask you this. Your numbers, your model, the data, what did it say about Rory coming into the tournament? Because I can't imagine being more deflated, Spencer. He could have ended up anywhere between 5 and 6 under, and he ends up a 72 even. Like, that is one of the biggest turnarounds over 4 holes, and it's just, round 1, it's debilitating.
He has a bad habit of taking himself out of this tournament. It's been the unfortunate thing that's come into play over and over again. I have been on Rory the last 2 Masters. I was not on him this week entering it. I think the big difference for me is if you look at the prices entering in 2023 and 2024, I was able to get inside of that double-digit range, 11-1, 12-1, up to 14-1, I believe 2 years ago with it. This was a much different situation because of the form that he was bringing to the event. You saw him as low at 6-1 at a lot of these books. I thought there was a market overcorrection to an extent that had happened with him. And unfortunately, and we saw Rory doing it even leading into the tournament, all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's complaining about an elbow injury that I don't really buy necessarily. It's like, let's try to simmer down all the attention around what's going on. And it's a fine strategy, but it's just, nobody's going to buy it at this point. Everybody knows what's at stake for him. So people love to bet him. People love him, as you said, for that reason. A lot of times sharp money does pour in on him early in that week when he gets up to that 10 plus range. Books weren't going to really take on that exposure from what we had seen. And, I think an argument could be made, and it was something that I did say on an Action Network podcast this week. You could make an argument, and I didn't get there with Scottie Scheffler in the market, but I do think you can make an argument that Scottie was the underappreciated, disrespected name. I understand he was 5-1. It's not a price I was going to get to, but I mean, we're now sitting in a spot to where he's like 2-1 to win this tournament. It's he's going to be a tough name to beat.
Dustin, sorry to interrupt, but Dustin brought up the number, and I don't have models. I heard Scottie was 2-1. I feel like it's insane value when he's 4 under. You're getting 2-1. Like he doesn't even have a soul. He's just going to go out there and robotically just go win the tournament now. Like people chasing him, it's fool's gold.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to me, like, according to my model, the people that have the best chance to take him on would be Oberg. He's still young. His second attempt, it usually takes a couple of times to get across the finish line here. Thing that Oberg has going for him is he entered Sunday last year with a real chance to win this event. So he's been in the thick of this at the very end. It's probably a little bit lower than on consensus coming into the week also. But I mean, right now he's my second choice. DeChambeau's right there at 3 under par. I don't know if Connors is necessarily a name that's ready to get across the finish line. My model still likes Corey Connors, though, this week. He might be one of those guys that's more likely to come top 5 or top 10, though. But, I mean, it's a very, very nice spot for Scottie to be able to pull this off if he can continue.
Now, let's just say we live in a world where Scottie isn't the option here, just because Justin Rose is your leader. And I think we all agree that's not going to last. History has proven that anytime he's led the opening round of the Masters, still has yet to win a green jacket. I want to throw a few names at you. You tell me if anything jumps out to you, because a guy like Corey Connors, I believe, was like 50-1. He's now down to 18-1. You've got Shane Lowry, 60-1 down to 40-1. Are there any other names? Xander Schauffele, who's 50-1. Is there anyone out there that's maybe a little bit of a longer price that you think has a chance to get back at it? Maybe not as an outright, but perhaps a top 10 finish.
My opinion would be that if you are -1 or better, you're probably still in this tournament. If you're any deeper than that, that feels like it's ever so slightly too far out. I think guys like Morikawa and Rory are going to make a push up this leaderboard. They are very prototypical top 10 sort of finishers. It's been this stigma around them that they can't get across the finish line recently, but they are these golfers that once they get themselves out of contention early, they have the ability to push up the leaderboard over the final 3 days. So I would look for those two names to potentially push themselves up. I think Connors is still interesting just because the market perception on him is a lot lower. I've seen numbers as high as 22-1 on him if you shop around. So, I think that's an intriguing price. The other name that I will throw out there that's right at that -1 number, and it's a player who's won here in the past before. My model continues to really like Patrick Reed this week. I had a lot of exposure to him in the head-to-head market. My big bet of the tournament was him over Sahith Theegala. I have him in a couple of different iterations of matchups. He's one of those names that I'm going to continue to try to find exposure to him, whether it's from in-tournament betting, potentially as an outright ticket. I do think you can find some very juicy numbers out there because of where Scottie is on the board. He's a name that I would just keep in mind.
Boys, I did bet heavy, Dustin. That's for you. I did bet heavy Morikawa top 10. I got it at +160. Is that okay? Coming into the tournament was +160, an okay price for Morikawa top 10.
Yeah, Morikawa coming into it was third for me in projected win equity. He was third for me for safety. Morikawa has turned himself, and I want this to be very well noted on this show, because this is not to say that guys like Rory and Colin cannot win. I think it's quite often overblown. One of the things that I told you guys last year when I did the show is I talked about Rory on it. The other name that I talked about quite frequently was Xander Schauffele. And what I said on the show was that Xander Schauffele is going to win a major soon. He did not win the Masters that week, but he ended up getting 2 majors in the year 2024 when it was all said and done. I think it gets overblown by the general public that players cannot get across the finish line. And golf is a really tough sport to actually hit outrights. And one name does it every single week. And when golfers find themselves in contention over and over again, it's the same problem, as I said, Xander had. It's the same problem Tony Finau had for a while. When these guys are top 10 machines, they just, for whatever reason, get negatively affected by it from the public. A lot of times you can get some generous prices there in the top 10 range. So, I think, as I said, I think Morikawa is a name that's going to probably come up on the leaderboard over the next couple of days. I like the price that you got there, Patrick. It's, he might be a little too far back to actually win this, but these are names, if they can get themselves close enough, you never know what can happen.
No offense to his family. I don't care if he wins at this point. I just want him top 10. That's all I care about.
But Spencer, you're right. We all get caught up in the big juicy numbers of the outrights, and Scotty Scheffler's made that kind of boring for everyone these days. Look at the matchups, look at the top 10s, look at the make or miss the cut. Those are where the opportunities really lie to kind of stack up the money and build the bankroll versus like the lottery ticket that is hitting a 40, 50 to 1, which there's a reason they're 40 to 51 to 1. But can you maybe explain to our audience expectations and how they change at Augusta National throughout this tournament? Because the play was one way today. How do you envision round 2 going and then the rest of the weekend going with how the course plays throughout the weekend?
This was as soft as you're going to get the course. It's going to become much firmer and faster over the next 3 days. I don't want to say take what you saw today and completely throw it out the window. One of the things that I do in my model, and you'll see it as I update it every single night over at Rotoballer, one of the things that you will see from it is I slowly infuse, and I don't do it from a big portion of it, but I slowly infuse the in-tournament stats from what we've had from the pre-tournament projections. So you're going to see these numbers ever so slightly start shifting, but my model was predicated to look for strokes gained around the green. It was to look for all the aspects that are going to be more heavily weighted over the next 3 days. So, I like where my model sits right now with it. And as you said, Dustin, just to go and circle back really quickly to matchups, any professional gambler that you talk to, they're always going to talk to you about matchups. They're always going to talk to you about placement wagers. It's a lottery ticket. That is the best way to say it when you talk about outrights. There's one name that gets across the finish line. If I could give any advice to people out there when it comes to matchups, it would be 2 things. 1, bankroll management. It's something that you need to be aware of. That's the very easy answer to give. Most people would come on a show and say that. The second thing I want everybody to at least be noting of with it is when you look at matchups, and this is specifically what I do, I am always trying to find a golfer that I want to fade in a matchup. I think far too often people are finding a golfer that they want to back, and they find themselves in a situation where you're backing star versus star, and you're sitting there on Sunday holding your ass, hoping that you can get the bet across the finish line. For me, can we find miscut equity? Can we find the ability to take on a golfer? I'm obviously doing it with names that I want to try to still back. It's how I end up in a situation of Patrick Reed over Sahith Theegala. But Theegala for me was a candidate that I wanted to fade. Even if I end up being wrong and Theegala outproduces what I want, I still have the golfer on the other end of it. Vice versa, I have the name that I want versus that. So, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this betting board, but I think matchups are always going to be the best way if you're trying to make money betting golf.
And I love that. That is such a clever way of saying it. Go contrarian, look for the golfer to fade, not somebody that you're high on. Let's do this because we just have time for one more question, Spencer. Is there a matchup? And again, for novice bettors, a head-to-head tomorrow, round 2, you like at the Masters?
There were a handful of players that were big underachievers for me in my model. So essentially what that means are players that underproduced how I thought they should produce based off of the way that they struck the ball and what I thought of them pre-tournament. Morikawa, Rory, we've talked about them a lot. The 2 names, or maybe 3 names here that I would keep an eye on. Brooks Koepka, I think he has a big bounce back potential. Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele. I haven't actually gotten the ticket yet and punched it yet. I don't know if I'm going to get there. I'm still running some data on it, but Xander Schauffele over Victor Hovland is one that I think is interesting for tomorrow.
Hey, you say it, I'm playing it. You're doing the Lord's work, kid. You're doing a great job. Spencer Aguiar, rotoballer.com. Remember, updates every evening, so go to rotoballer.com and check out Spencer's work. Senior PGA analyst at Toff Sports on Twitter. You're the best. Let's do this. Let's do it again before the PGA. How about that?
I would love to. It's always a pleasure to be on with you guys. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to have you. There you go, Spencer Aguiar, who is some network's going to hire him. I know that for sure. We'll come back. We'll get you updated in the association tonight, and then we've got JVT at the top of the hour. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Well, it's Isaiah's lucky day. Jacob came to work early. Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. So you know Jacob, the wild card, one of the producers over there at Mad Dog Sports Radio. And somehow he's infiltrated the program. And we told you the other day, now pay attention, people. My man had 2 dates, 2 first dates, same restaurant, 2.5 hours apart. Shorty, the first one, was showing up 2-hour date, Walker to Hamilton Theater. It's good. He circles back to the restaurant, the dud. The second date shows up, and Jacob somehow handled 2 dates in one night. If you're taking score at home, first date was a success. Second date, not so much. You know how I know? Jacob said when the bill came, you know what he got? Short arms. He said, listen, first date to the young lady, I'm not going to pay for you. It's insane.
We live in a progressive world. I understand some of these lines are being taken down, are being erased. What the roles are, the gender roles and these things. I don't care what you do. You can't let the girl pay. You can't let the person you're on a date with pay. Maybe I've taken girls home and hooked up with girls that I didn't like and thought were ugly just because I felt obligated to do that. Jacob, this should be a felony. You should be behind bars for making this young lady pay.
I think if I asked a young lady, to pay for a first date, I would imagine my parents in Michigan would get on a bus,
yes.
Take the bus to New York City and beat my ass. That's what
I'm blown away at the audacity to bring it up. Here's what I would say.
By the way, I love the move. He saved some cash. I'm just saying I'm not capable of it. I'm not capable of it.
And well, especially when you're doing 2 dates in one night at the same place, I understand wanting,
especially when you got to go to the strip club later.
Yeah, but there's always a moment on a date, at least if you're going out with a respectable young lady, where she says, hey, can I pay or can we split it? If she asks the question, I don't think it's as bad to take it up with her and say, you know what, I'm going to take you up on the offer. We'll split the bill. But if you're outright, without solicitation, saying we're splitting this, as a bad character look if you're Jacob in this spot.
Well,
that's all.
Here's the bottom line. If I couldn't stand the date, it is worth $30 for me not to have to deal with awkwardness.
Yeah,
that is my whole thing in life. I measure things by how uncomfortable I am, and then I base that on the monetary impact. It's always going to be more uncomfortable not to pay for a punk ass.
No. And by the way, if a sign that someone was worth dating for me when I was in the market was
Christ.
They offer to pay, but you never take them up on it. That's the key. You cannot take them up on it. I'm sorry. You have to be the one to pay. You're the one in charge there. But you want to see the character. You want to see the character of the person to just offer. That's all.
Relationship Dustin is much more preachy than single Dustin used to be about how to handle this type of thing.
Yeah, because all my philosophies finally worked. Outside of the one where I was playing it cool and you had to yell at me to text my girlfriend, who's now my girlfriend, to set up our second date. Okay?
Correct. I mean, listen, dating sucks. I'm not going to Jacob seems to enjoy it. To me, it's like the most uncomfortable job interview. I can't stand it. I'd rather just meet Shorty after a couple of beers and,
Yeah, no, here's the question for Jacob, and maybe more importantly for Jacob if he actually finds a therapist one day. Do you enjoy all of these dates, or do you enjoy having a story to tell us about all of these dates?
No, he enjoys, because he can't answer. Here's what I'll tell you he enjoys. He enjoys walking into the dumb studio, going, hi, Isaiah. And then hopping on the mic and talking about how he almost got murdered on the F train and he just pulled off a double date. Not a double date with another couple, a double date with 2 chicks in one night.
I can't wait till he goes on a date and finds out that the father of the young lady is the guy at Yankee Stadium he tried to fight a few weeks ago.
Here's the issue. That idiot just took 5 minutes of this show.
I know.
When we come back, Jonathan Von Tobel, senior NBA analyst over at VSiN, joins us right here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. It's VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, donkeys. VSiN is on Sirius XM channel 158. You can get 24/7 sports betting coverage on channel 158 and on the Sirius XM app. Now, the big guys put together a special for you exclusively for Sirius XM and Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners. You can get full access, VSiN Pro access for Bill AD through August 1st for just $19. We're giving it away. It's unbelievable. What do you get? Jonathan Von Tobel's plays, Matt Euman's plays with a smile. Exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circus Sports, our Kentucky Derby betting guide, NFL betting guide when it drops this summer, setting you up for a winning football season. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS to lock in the special offer. VSiN, the sports betting network. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. The aforementioned, our good friend, our colleague, Jonathan Von Tobel joins. VSiN host, VSiN primetime, Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern, at me, JVT on Twitter. And he told us the good news, and that is, well, it's good news and it's bad news. Justin Rose, for the last 25 years, has led after 18 holes at Augusta, and he went low today, 7 under. Tends to struggle moving forward, but that doesn't matter right now because you do have him as an outright. That's a good job by you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a good job unless we cash, right? So we will see what happens, as you mentioned. Data Golf, which is a great site. The tournament projections, they still give, despite the fact that he is 3 strokes back, Scotty Scheffler a 24% chance to win, much higher and actually twice as high as Justin Rose right now, even though he is 3 strokes ahead. So we'll see. He was great with the putter, gained about 5.3 strokes with his putter today. That's generally what Rose does. He's very good on the greens. So if we can keep that up for 3 more rounds, let's see if we could do it. Got a couple of other guys amongst like some other off the board stuff that I do in my free time with a cool little Masters draft we got going on with some other VSiN colleagues. So hopefully we can keep it going.
Are you going to do anything though? I mean, you got out to a hot start with a guy who's leading. He was 60-1 just to lead this round. You got a big number on him to win outright. Are you going to put anything down on anyone going into round 2 tomorrow?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's not like life-changing money, so I think I'll just let this thing ride. I know we talk about this stuff all the time, but it's not going to do anything for me. It's going to buy me and my wife, a couple of really nice dinners or something like that. It's not anything crazy. So.
Well, I respect the answer because gambling Twitter would lead me to believe that everyone who cashes a ticket on a big number, their lives have changed because of it. So I respect that answer from you.
Yeah, no, my life would have changed if Mitch Moss wasn't such a beezy and mushed me over the weekend. So
did you hear about this, Patrick?
Mitch won a free roll on Florida.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get this right. So what happened was I had this Auburn free roll, Patrick, if you remember from the same blackjack tournament,
30-something to 1.
Yep. And no, it was to win 35. It was like 8,000 free roll on 3 plus 340 on Auburn to win the national championship. Auburn, of course, facing Florida on Saturday in the Final Four. As you remember, Auburn led by about 8 at halftime. I want to say 10 minutes into the first half with the Florida down by 3. Mitch Moss, who had this Florida free roll. I don't know if you've heard about this, by the way. I don't think VSiN has covered it very much. He texted me, congratulations.
Congratulations. I knew you were about to say that.
He texted me, congratulations. Yes, an absolute donk. An absolute see you next Tuesday. And so I let him know that myself.
Can't do it.
Yep, can't do it. It's a terrible thing to do. Now, we did have 5% of each other's ticket, so I did get a little something out of Mitch's win on Monday. Again, I don't know if you guys heard this. We haven't really covered it. But I am very much upset still about this event that we have not given much life to here at the network.
Well, we should hash it out a little bit more because the blackjack tournament, it's over a few months ago and everything's seeded and you're unable to make the draft where everyone picks their bets. Who goes and is picking for you? Well, Mitch Moss. Who's picking before you? Mitch Moss. Who do you tell Mitch is your number 1 pick ahead of time?
Oh, I told Mitch immediately that, like, because we're these things allegedly. The term is friends, I believe, and I told Mitch during the blackjack tournament. He's like, "Who would you pick if you had the first pick?" I was like, "It's Florida. There's no doubt." I'm like, "There's no question about it. It's Florida." And Mitch gets the number 2 pick and somehow ends up landing on Florida. It's weird. Weird how that works, huh? Great minds. Great minds.
So Mitch ended up winning it.
Yeah, I don't know if
I just wanted
over 100K. Over 100K.
What did he actually take?
I don't know exactly. He actually did tell me. I don't really remember what it was because there was hedging involved. But yeah, it was great.
Well, there's always next year.
Yeah, for your audience, just in case you guys missed the story. I know we haven't really talked about it on the network.
Yeah.
Well, and hold on, and didn't you have a sweat in football too, with a free roll where something went down?
No, that was the Cardinals. I did have the Astros. Last day, yeah,
that's what it was.
And then, of course, I knew I knew that was destined to get screwed over when I was like, dude, they were on a collision course, and I called it immediately. It was perfect because they were on a collision course with your Tigers. I assume they're your Tigers, Patrick.
They're everyone's Tigers right now.
Well, they were on a collision course with the Tigers, and I knew it immediately. Like, it's going to be a 3-game series. They're going to face Scooble. They're going to get shut down, and then they're going to have to win 2 straight, and they ultimately did not. And that's exactly what happened.
I'm not saying the Florida future got talked about a lot, but it was actually part of that retrospective they did for Luka on the Jumbotron.
And that was me crying, actually.
Real quick, an update in Detroit, 6:16 to go. Pistons tied it up, 99 all, 6:16 to go. Preview of a playoff series here.
That's your
between our
3-6 matchup. That is your 3-6 matchup. We were talking. I was talking with Sean about the price. What do you think the pricing would be on that series?
I don't know, because I don't think the Knicks are that good. So I'm going to be very interested to see what the market is going to do here. By the way, I'm sweating out an under in this game too, so I'd very much like that. I have under 229 and a half.
Actually.
Yeah. In that Knicks and Pistons game, I have under 229 and a half. In-game total right now is 226 and a half, so we're going to sweat that out. So I don't know.
229, so I'm the loser.
Oh, do you ever under 2? Cool. Friends, even though you didn't text me back when I said I was going to be in LA.
Oh, that's right. I was going to ask. Hold on, don't worry. Don't worry. I'll take it. I'm not that guy.
I am interested to see how it would be priced, because given the right price, I'd be interested in your Pistons, Patrick, at the very least to, like, a series spread, right? Plus 1.5 games, plus 2.5 games, depending on what that thing is going to be priced at. Because I do think they can give them a little bit of a problem. They're a good shooting team. They've got multiple shooters around Cade. They've got enough rebounding and good offensive rebounding with Duran and others that they can actually really generate some second chance opportunities. Could I say this? I think this might be a truth. Do they have the best player on the floor in Cade Cunningham? Because I think you can make the very strong argument.
I love Cade, but I freaking love Jalen.
Yeah, right. It's obviously, but it's obviously between him and Jalen. And the fact that I'm saying that statement and you're both not shouting me down like I'm a moron, right, gives you, like, it is the whole point here, which is I think this Pistons team is pretty legit for a team of their caliber. And I think that would be a great series that they could play very tight and maybe even push them to 7.
Yeah, I agree series spread because, look, if Detroit doesn't win the series, it does feel like one of those situations where they push the Knicks so hard in one that affects the start of the next series for the Knicks and limits their capabilities. And on the Brunson-Cunningham thing, I think Brunson's been maxed out. Like, we've seen, he's awesome. I love him. He's the best Knick of my lifetime. I'll take him over Ewing. But with Cade Cunningham, we still don't know what that potential is, and he is incredible. There could be another gear with him, superstar gear that he could hit.
Absolutely. So I'm like, we're not asking him to win the NBA Finals, but beat the Knicks in a first-round series. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. And, like, right now, okay, I get there's nothing on the line. These two teams are going to face each other. You're probably not showing that much. They're at home, and they're up by 2 right now. This isn't like some, oh, my God, there's no shot they could do this thing. They could do it. They absolutely could do it. And I know you'll speak to this, Patrick, but, dude, those home games in Detroit are lit, awesome, dude. Like, they're great. Yep. I still remember, what was it, 3 weeks ago when Boston rolled in on the second leg of a back-to-back? You would think that was NBA Finals Game 7. You had Jalen Rose on the sidelines. The place was going crazy, and they smoked the Celtics that night. Like, those home environments are going to be really strong for them.
So what people may not know outside of Michigan, a few years back, Detroit the Pistons moved to downtown, and downtown has had a resurgence. When I was growing up, you definitely could not go downtown, and I'm not being like in any way. I'm not making a political statement. You just couldn't go downtown.
It sounds like one.
And they played because if you went downtown, you got tariffed. No. They played in Auburn Hills. So everybody knows the name, the Palace of Auburn Hills. Mm-hmm. It was a great venue, but it was out in the suburbs. And so it made it very hard for hardcore Detroit Pistons fans in downtown Detroit to travel 40-plus minutes out to Auburn Hills. They have now moved to Little Caesars Arena right in downtown off Woodward. And to JVT's point, there's an extra Jalen Rose is from that area. There's an extra cachet to having the Detroit Pistons in downtown Detroit that adds an edge to the in-game environment at home. I think the playoffs are going to be awesome.
And what this is, I don't remember what year that was, but it's actually one of my favorite playoff performances, even though I think they got swept. But when Blake Griffin on one leg carried them into that 1-8 matchup, I think it was with the Bucks or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and
they
he
got
fought
swept.
tooth and nail, but they haven't been into the postseason since then. So it's going to be in charge environment. It's going to be great. So I'm very excited for that series nonetheless. But I'm going to be on the Pistons to win that thing if it's priced anywhere that I think is too far.
I literally just said, Dustin, Shine asked me, I was like, I don't know. I literally just pulled it out of my ass. I said Knicks minus 225 on the series. Is that crazy?
No, I think it might be a little bit. I think the market has a little bit more respect for them. It's probably going to be a little bit higher. It might be near $3 because, again, you have home court, right? You're the higher seeded team.
Really?
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. That sounds like a lot, but again, you're asking about to win a best of 7. Like the probability of the Knicks winning a best of 7, I think the market would expect that to be relatively high. I don't think that's a crazy series price when you're asking that. So
I think you're right.
Yeah, anywhere in that range.
That was a little low.
Yeah,
I felt a
but
little.
You're not that.
My hometown bias.
I mean, what are we talking? What was the number tonight? What was the number tonight again? What was the pre-flop number?
But the problem tonight is no Hart, no Anunoby.
Yeah,
sure, of course. It gives you an idea.
I was going to go the other way. I was going to go 2-1, maybe even a little bit. I don't know, dude. I'm as a Knicks fan. Then now I know for like the last since March, 6th best defense in the league. I know they've improved defensively. I still have a lot of concerns. I want to know Brunson's health, if he really is 100%, because if we're being real, they only go as far as he can take them offensively, even though Cat's there. Guards matter a little bit more at times in the postseason. I'm concerned about the Knicks. And we started these conversations when the show launched in January, JVT, with me yelling at you about how much I thought the Knicks could be. But I'm at a point now where I don't think they're special.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. I think they're just a good team, right? That's not anything terrible. But when you have that flaw on defense, and let's be honest about Jalen Brunson, in the postseason, matchups matter. They are the end-all, be-all. They will scheme things up. You go back to when the Knicks beat the Cavaliers. You want to know why they beat them that one year? Is because they were playing Isaac Okoro at the 3, and the Knicks said, we are not going to care about you from beyond the arc. We're not going to care about your other 2 players, and Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen from beyond the arc, and we're just going to clog up the lane and make this an absolute nightmare for you. You can't really do that against the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham, I would imagine, almost every single possession, or on a lot of them, is going to take Jalen Brunson's man and bring him over and try to get onto him, and then we'll go after Jalen Brunson quite a bit. That gives up a lot of size. Brunson's not the greatest defender either. So, there's going to be a lot that goes into that matchup that I think works for the Pistons' favor. So I'm with you. I don't want to insult them. They're not a terrible team, but I just think they're a good, above-average team that is beatable.
What I love about Brunson, and we saw it in the postseason last year, is his mentality. I just think he's a dog. I think what people sleep on about Cade is he has that in him too. Cade kind of,
because I don't think they watch him.
Exactly, and his face and stuff is a little sleepish. I don't know if that makes sense. He's kind of just he makes things look easy that you think, oh no, he is a freaking dog, and that's what I think they're 2 similar players in that way.
Well, that's what happens when you play next to Killian Hayes for 3 years.
JVT, I have a question.
You want to kill a dog?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work this year with the Knicks, and let's say Thibodeau's gone, would Michael Malone be an upgrade in terms of X's and O's, coaching, culture, leadership over Thibodeau if he came in and took over the Knicks next year?
I mean, I love Mike Malone, so I think you're going to get an upgrade no matter where he goes. Nothing against Tibbs, but I think Malone's one of the best head coaches in the league. Okay. So, I mean, I'd be excited if I was a Knicks fan and they ended up moving on to Michael Malone. And the thing is, too, I actually think I'll play the game one time for you D-bag New Yorkers, where it's I think he would fit in New York. I think I think he'd be able to handle the pressure of playing in New York. A hard ass like Malone being in an environment like that, I think it would be pretty great. And I think a team like that would thrive from that kind of leadership. Now, Humans and I were talking about this. I dig that kind of stuff, right? I dig somebody telling me, hey, you did this wrong, do it better. And I think that the Knicks would thrive with somebody like that, who Michael Malone absolutely was. So I think it would be absolutely great to have a Knicks team like that. It would fit kind of the culture that people believe it is. And I think it'd be awesome. So, yes, I think that would be an upgrade, and I think he could do better. Now, again, you have to improve the bench. You got to get a little bit deeper. That's kind of the thing with this team. We'll see what they try to do there. But I think Malone is an upgrade over everybody because I do think he's the best coach in the league.
Dude, oh, my God, Patrick. Michael Malone's only 6 years older than you.
Hold on. Dustin, first off, I hadn't thought about it. It's a great point. Malone would be the perfect old man trivia. Brendan Malone is Michael Malone's father. Brendan Malone was the lead assistant for Chuck Daly, the Bad Boy Pistons. Brendan Malone then went and coached in New York City for the Knicks for many years as an assistant. His son coming over would make a ton of sense. And he does have the personality. I think it's a great fit, actually. I hadn't even.
He's
thought
from
about
Queens. He's from Queens. He's a New Yorker.
So there's your answer. We buried the lead with Jonathan Von Tobel, senior NBA analyst over at VSiN as well. Last night was theater. Last night was one of those literal events that you don't get very often with Luka returning to the Mavs. I'll just run with it. What'd you take from it all?
I thought you were talking about my theater because I was filmed in the new Circa commercial. So very excited for that. That's my acting debut.
Oh, you're an actor
I
now.
didn't. Wait, hold on. Let me check my email.
Yeah, why?
When I lived there, I never got an ass.
No, sorry. So I got to do the, hey Derek, what's the guarantee? That's so I'm in. I'm in the.
Oh, it's always good acting. If you think good acting is an elm tree in a forest.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I don't have to know how it went, the filming, to know that you got it in fewer takes than Paulie Howard, who I think took the entire day to ask that line a couple years ago.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. What a good bit of trivia. I'm surprised Paul stuck around in one place like long enough for that to happen. All right, so last night
he tried to take but JVT he tried to take the fake big check home with him.
Yeah, that's
so
right. I need this.
No, to pay off something.
So I will say that I'm with you. Last night was crazy. That was such one of the weirdest things we're ever going to see. From Luka crying, as we already joked, right? Watching the thing, like being legitimately emotional. And here's the thing: I will be fully honest because I never really buy players. You know, when he kind of exuded, and some of the messaging from Luka's side was like, shell shocked, wanted to be here. Like that's legitimate, right? He looked like he was crying and clearly was, and looked like he did not want to leave, as Trae Young put out on Twitter when he retweeted the video. He was never going to leave. So I thought it was wild, and it is just. It's so, I don't know really how to put it, because when you watch that happen, there's so many friendly returns of guys that used to play for the team, right? But they're at the tail end of their career. It's, hey, you know what? I've done my time with you guys. I'm going to retire in a few years, and I'm on this new team. So we're moving on, or I'm an old guy, and we're going to come back and play the montage. Not the guy that led you to the. They're playing highlights from the finals that he was in. Like 7 months ago. It was such a weird situation. And to make matters even better, when you see the videos of Nico sitting in the tunnel, getting booed, they're chanting "Fire Nico" over and over again, and he's just sitting there watching Luka drop 31 in the first half, 45 overall. It's just crazy. And to be honest with you, what's even crazier about all of that, Luka's in a Lakers uniform. That's insane. What's more insane is that you don't have Austin Reeves in a Mavericks uniform. Like you got back nothing. You shortened your window. That to me is the fireable offense through all of this. I think he got the edict from above. Get rid of him. We don't want to pay him.
Me too.
But you can be fired for what you got back. You don't get fired for the action of trading Luka. You get fired for how you execute it. And I think that is a fireable offense. The package they got back, next to nothing outside of Anthony Davis. You should have gotten Austin Reeves, a young player with upside, and extended your window out. And instead, here you are. It was insane watching that yesterday.
I'm with you. I just kept waiting that night. I remember for like that extra tweet from Shams to be like, and by the way, Austin Reeves is included in the deal. Forgot to mention that in the first two that I put out there about the breaking news. It just never happened. The fact that he's still in a Laker uniform makes no sense. Lakers are the third shot in the West, JVT. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I think about how the postseason is so different than the regular season. Do you believe there's enough there with those three doing the scoring to end up winning this conference at plus 650? Do you believe there's enough?
Yeah, especially if Adam Silver decides that the Oklahoma City Thunder are not allowed to compete in the Western Conference. And if he does that, then I think they've totally got a shot at winning this thing. I'm going to stick to my guns here. Yes, in probability, the Lakers can win the Western Conference. They are one of three other teams that I would include in we'll call them top four. I think the problem is that there is a massive gap between 1 and then 2, 3, and 4. But I think the two LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, as well as the Warriors, are legitimately dangerous with the way that they play and the way their rosters are constructed. Having said that, I just think the Thunder are great. One of their biggest weaknesses is playing these two bigs together, because when they play them together, they give up a ton of threes. You know how you get over that? You don't play them together. Go back to when they played in Boston about 3 weeks ago. If you guys remember, The Celtics, they went into Boston. They won that game without Alex Caruso, without Jalen Williams, if I remember correctly. But there was a stretch in the second quarter where they decided, all right, let's put the two bigs on the floor, because they actually started a little bit smaller because Tatum was in the starting lineup. The Celtics immediately take advantage of it. They go on a little bit of a run. They tie the game. They take them both out. They were not both of them out, but they break them up. I think they leave Holmgren in, whatever it is. They immediately take control back of the game. They're a complete team. They can go size. They can go big if they want to match up with anybody. They can go small and play 5 guards. They can play the double bigs or one of the bigs. I love this team. I think they're well coached. So yes, Justin, to answer your question, sure, the Lakers can do it. But every time somebody answers this question, I refuse to just back off the stance that, yeah, sure, but it's the Thunder.
By the way, I do have a follow-up on the Nico Harrison thing, because I was laughing with Jonathan Von Tobel here at VSiN Live, because I was laughing when they were saying fire him. I'm so convinced that anybody involved in basketball would, and somebody smart enough to become a president of an organization, wouldn't make the trade. So obviously ownership told him, you have to go do this.
Yes.
I'm convinced now that he was so pissed that he spited the organization, told Pelinka, I'm going to do this for you. Make sure I have a job because, hello, I'm trading Luka, so I'm going to get fired soon. I just think it's all collusion. There's no way that dude is dumb enough to do what he did. That's one. Number two, with Luka, I thought I actually thought it was so sincere, his emotion, which I couldn't believe. And then Dustin and I were having fun with it. I was like, oh, he's gonna go nuclear, because I just don't think he's built like other humans. I think that emotion fires him up as opposed to softens him. And he was just efficient in the game. He did look tired in the second half. They were in the second half of back-to-back, but still they were great in the second half. I'm sorry, I don't even have a question. It's just the most unconscionable thing we've seen in our lifetime in sports.
I don't think we're going to see anything like it either. Again, I think it's a unique situation that we're never going to see again. And I am glad that we lived through it. And I would also say, to your point, the thing I'd push back on is if Nico Harrison is just at a spot where I don't know if I would willingly take a bad package like that, because I would assume he has aspirations to be a GM for a long time. Right? You know what I'm saying? And so, would you willingly tank your stock as a GM just to get a little bit of revenge and then go be an assistant GM forever? I just don't know if that's the case.
You see my point. It's so unconscionable not to get Reeves, not to do better. That
no, of course.
Something must be amiss.
To the point is,
on top of it,
real quick, if I was going to make a stand, if I'm Nico, what I'm telling them is, no, fire me then. That you can write.
That's what I would have done.
You can write the press release that says he would not trade Luka Doncic, so we fired him. You can do
you'll
that.
get a job in 2 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? You got to think long term if you're Nico Harrison. You're not gonna disparage my name for the rest of my career where no one will hire me ever again. Also, what would have maybe helped Nico Harrison's case a little bit if Anthony Davis was a little bit more useful at this point. That's the element of the trade that blows your mind. It's not just the age difference between Davis and Doncic. It's the fact that Anthony Davis doesn't play basketball, and in a big spot like last night, maybe I'm bitter because I had over 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and we didn't come close. But Anthony Davis just isn't that guy who carries a franchise like a Luka can. What did you make of AD in a spot where he's also in a revenge game, doing next to nothing offensively?
I think he's still capable. I mean, he did it with the Pelicans for a while. And remember, he won a playoff series with the Pelicans. They went and they beat Portland.
That was a while ago.
Of course, but I'm just saying, I think he's capable of doing it if he's actually fully healthy. I don't know if he's fully healthy. I also think it's really hard in a moment like that for a team that is destined to get snuffed out, whether it's in the play-in or in the eighth, when you finally win the 8th seed, if you do. That doesn't have a lot of shelf life. But having said that, it wasn't a great performance for him. But I do think the most egregious thing about this, outside of not getting, an Austin Reeves or whatever, is, Dustin, what you said, willingly shortening your window, willingly closing the window tighter and saying, no, we can fit through that. We can get through that. And then it gets worse, obviously, with Kyrie, because they had 4 of their potential starting 5 out there last night. And there's that's an intriguing lineup in a vacuum. Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. That's a lot of size. That's some versatility. That's shooting. There's some stuff out there that you can really use if you're fully healthy. But when you tighten your window, when things go wrong, then it goes really wrong. And guess what happened? You tighten your window, and then things went wrong. And now here you are, hoping that Kyrie comes back like himself next January off of a torn ACL. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, the only name you left out when talking about that roster was Luka Doncic, so that's all that matters. Let's move to tonight. I believe I have this correct, Jonathan. We're tipping in about 4 minutes. If the T-Wolves beat the Grizzlies in Memphis tonight, we have a three-way tie at 6, 7, and 8 with Golden State's loss last night unconscionably to the Spurs. So if Minnesota wins, I believe we're going to have a three-way tie at 6, 7, 8. Now, of course, you don't want to be 7 and 8 because you're in a play-in.
Right. And so here's the thing. First off, how about the 2 losses that we have seen the last couple of days? You cannot lose that game if you're Golden State. How do you blow that game if you're Minnesota the other night against the Milwaukee Bucks when you're up 95-71 or whatever it was in the fourth quarter? It was insane, especially when you're in this kind of a playoff race. I am very interested to see how it all shakes out, like you said, if the things shake out and where these teams are at. Because here's the thing. If you're in these play-ins, you would think like, it's Sacramento and Dallas. Like, who cares? Yeah, well, guess what? You might care when Sacramento, just out of nowhere, hits like 55% of their threes and bombs you out in a single elimination game. Like, it can happen. You don't want to be in that scenario at all. That's why this game, there's a few like topics out there like, maybe should these teams tank for the 7th seed and actually get into the play-in because then you can avoid the no. You don't want to put yourself in that single elimination situation because it can be an absolute nightmare for you. So I'm with you. Like, the fact that this Warriors team, and think about too, we should note the implications of like Humans, for example. Matt Humans, my co-host on VSiN Primetime, has a Warriors to make the playoffs ticket that looks pretty good, but then now you have to sweat out a play-in like to get in. And what if they lose? What if they lose? So, like, it's all of these things are crazy. But the fact that San Antonio goes out and beats Golden State and that Milwaukee comes back and beats Minnesota, these 2 teams in this race, it's insane. But good for my Clippers.
Do you guys, either of you have a play tonight? It's 2 minutes till tip.
Yeah.
Minnesota at Memphis, Minnesota lane 2.
Yeah, I actually have 3. I know that's shocking for all of you.
Before you give props, anything on the side or total, Jonathan?
I laid 2 so I can watch a little bit of something tonight with Minnesota.
I'm going to lay 2. Go ahead, big guy.
We went over rebounds on Edey since Taylor Jenkins was fired. His minutes have increased under the new head coach in the last 3 games. He'll be on the floor more, having to deal with Gobert. I also like Naz Reid. Went Naz Reid over 20.5 PRA. That's just a dog. He's just a dog. I like betting on him. And then DiVincenzo. Over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's been facilitating a lot more of late. He gets buckets. I think they're going to need him to shoot from beyond the arc in this matchup. So those are the 3 plays I went with in this one. But I want to know from JVT from a Minnesota perspective, because maybe I'm falling into the trap, falling into the hype here. They're 14-4 since March 2nd. They're 13 games over 500 now. Obviously, a big chunk of that coming on this most recent run. What has been different for the Timberwolves? Why have they just found this gear that they were unable to hit earlier in the season?
By the way, 36 points, 8 assists on 16 of 24 shooting for Cade Cunningham tonight, game's final. So it goes under, and Pistons end up winning and covering.
Yes, let's go.
So I think, Dustin, I think part of it's just that they got healthy. Remember that they were missing guys for a while in that lineup. Like Rudy Gobert was missing time. Mike Conley was missing time. And so there wasn't really a ton of continuity there when you're talking about just trying to get dudes on the floor with each other. So I think that's a really big part of them starting to turn things around here down the stretch. Because when you get your guys out there, then all of a sudden you're starting to see these dudes really play at the defensive level that we all expected them to, right? And I think that's a really big thing. I think the other obvious thing is that Anthony Edwards has really started to play some pretty good basketball. I guess getting rid of your children is really a thing that will push you to new heights. Is going to, hey, look, it's his choice. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying, like, Fred VanVleet had the dad game. This is like the anti-dad stretch. This is great. But like, look at these last 4 games.
It's a bold move. I'll give you that. It's a bold move to say, here's 18 years worth of child support up front. Now go away.
I mean, if you could do it, I guess. 31 points in the last 4 games on 50% shooting from the floor. He's just really kind of turned things on. He's shooting so many more threes, but he's actually shooting at a pretty efficient clip when you're talking about the absolute volume. Like, look at the month of March, for example. He shot 9.9 three-point attempts per game, so essentially 10. But he hit 35% of those. Like, that's a pretty good clip. You're hitting a lot of threes throughout the course of that month. And I think it's really helped him out as well. He's like really come on as a scorer. So I think that's the 2 things. They're healthy. They're starting to play their brand of defense. And Anthony Edwards has really stepped this thing up.
Yeah, they intrigue me. I think I'm falling in love with.
Well, Minnesota. You should so we did this. This is like a month old now, but I made Humans do a blind resume thing. And what we did was we took the numbers for these teams against top 10 teams with opponents with a top 10 net rating. And the Timberwolves, top 7 and I think it was like 7th and 6th, vice versa, in offense and defense versus opponents with a top 10 net rating. They've played the good teams very well. So if there's a team that would intrigue you, like I understand why it would be Minnesota, absolutely. As the joke has been made, though, they don't get to play Denver every single round. And so, like, that's, that's part of the problem. They match up well with Denver, but some of these other teams, you do wonder how it looks.
We all agree, like, it would be the most shocking thing ever if either Boston or Cleveland doesn't come out of the East, like, ever.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah, like, without a doubt, like,
inevitable.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston, the reason Boston's so interesting is because obviously they've been playing well. They just broke a franchise record on the road, and their numbers on the road this year have been insane. So, like, I don't know what that means going to Cleveland, because it's not like Cleveland's a crazy, but Boston's rounding into form at the right time, and I believe Jalen's going to be healthy.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? Is whether or not he's fully healthy. Some of the comments around his knee are like a little worrisome, experiencing pain, telling the media, like, I've never really had knee issues before, so this is all new for me. But I think they gave him the night off last time out. And I think there's questions about whether or not he's going to play here down the stretch. But if he's healthy, they're fine. Like, and even if he's not, this is a team that is so deep that they can overcome his absence.
It's funny. A year ago at this time, a lot of us were talking smack about Boston.
Don't say us.
They never get over the hump.
Don't say us.
I said a lot. I didn't say you. 2 out of the 3 people in this conversation were talking a lot of smack about Boston and how good they would actually be when it mattered. But what % chance do you give the Celtics this year of kind of making a mockery of the postseason and just cruising to another title? Like, what %? I know you all love Oklahoma City. I know you all say they're historically good. If Boston plays their best and OKC plays their best, I think we can admit Boston's talent level is on a different chart.
It is, but I think the East is better than it was last year. So I think that doesn't really equate to them running through it like they did last year, right? Like the opponents and the level of opponents they would face, obviously they wouldn't face the Pacers in an Eastern Conference Finals. They would face the Cavaliers if it's what we expect to happen. If the Knicks end up winning, that's at least a pretty good Knicks team, again, with an upside on offense. That's the second round opponent. So, as a 7th seed, all right, yeah, like whatever comes out, whatever corpse comes out of the play-in, like they should be able to handle with relative ease. And even then, though, Dustin, like, what if it's Orlando? Orlando's a really good defensive team that might make them work quite a bit throughout the course of a series, however long that is. So I even think at their best, it's not going to look as dominant as it was last year, just because I think the competition is much better.
Dustin scored more in college than the Orlando Magic score. I mean, come on. You can't.
Their offense stinks, but their defense is great.
Right.
They scored negative points?
Here's the opposite. Jonathan Von Tobel, great family man. He's going to go back to his kids, unlike Anthony Edwards.
Right.
You can read, of course, Jonathan over at VSiN. You can listen to him. VSiN primetime, Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern, and Hardwood Handicap at me, JVT. Are we bringing back Hardwood Handicappers?
No, come on now.
We just had Kelly on last night. Like, I feel like the vibes are high.
We have a Hardwood Handicappers group chat. We just text a lot.
Some would say in some circles, I am a handicapped hardwood.
There we go. That wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't.
Speaking of group chats, remember when Patrick didn't respond to me yesterday? That was great.
I'm responding. I'm going to be in. He's the one that said no. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm hanging out with you and Shorty.
I got a wedding to go to in New York. It's JVT's favorite city.
Oh, no. I did write in my notes a couple of weeks ago to ask you, but you weren't here. Your tweets about New York City were the funniest thing ever. Like the
trainer stuff was unbelievable. They're so annoying.
So bitter. You were so bitter.
It's not bitter. It's stupid. Oh, that Russell Wilson stuff is not going to fly here. Like, what are you going to do? Beat him up? Like, you're not going to do anything.
I lived there forever. I used to say the same thing. I'm like, you guys are a bunch of idiots.
It's so stupid. Like by the way,
ask more questions.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, and by the way, like, people just love Russell Wilson, right? Like his high knees on the plane and the Mr. Unlimited and all that nonsense that he's been giving crap for. Like, no, not in New York, pal. Like, okay, get out of here.
Like the reporters are going to be like, that's enough.
Yeah.
The reporters aren't going to say anything. Like,
and then Russ is going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot I was in New York.
Yeah.
JVT, thank you. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All right, there he goes. Jonathan Von Tobel. He gets better about New York. Hey, listen, I understand. It is a lot of fake posturing. Like, they can't handle New York. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I think the misconception is it's a lot of like tough guys, and the reality is it's just more people. It's just a lot of people.
A lot more
hear
people.
them. So they're just louder. That's all. Like as a group, they're just louder because there's just more. It's a quantity thing.
We've got our media roundup coming up next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, long spot with JVT, so not a ton of time. Let's get into our media roundup. What are we talking across sports? What are we talking about across Sport Talk Radio, including here on Mad Dog Sports Radio? Big guy, where are we starting tonight?
Let's begin with the boys in the morning, the DA show with Babchick, Damon, and Michael. Here's what they opened their show with this morning.
The Mavericks emotional video tribute beforehand, and then the PA announcer saying, Luka Doncic, thank you, Luka. was so overboard for a visiting player. It was like pretty pathetic. It's great that, the fans had a chance to say thank you because the fans had nothing to do with this. But for the franchise to shuffle him out of town, to trade him, obviously, when he didn't see it coming, and then to slander him on the way out the door by saying that he's going to be fat, what he's a health calamity waiting to happen, a health.
Okay, I like that. You can bring that down. The Boys in the Morning with DA and, of course, Babs opening with Luka. You had to. We talked about it yesterday. It was going to be everybody's open today.
Yeah, and I like that because it felt like an overcorrection of everything. We did all this wrong, crapping on this guy on the way out. Here is us being nice now, and don't say mean things about us if you're a Mavericks fan. Okay,
embarrassing.
Next one up, it's our guy. You spoke with him earlier on VSiN. Well, he double dips here. Shine on Sports, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here was our guy, Adam Shine, reacting to last night's Lakers-Mavs game.
And when Luka asked for the towel, you knew that he could not even try to keep his emotions in check. And for the sake of fairness, and, I love that he let it out and grown men cry. And he talked about it the night before after everything that happened where he got thrown out of the OKC game, which was always insane. He said it's not going to be a regular game. It's going to be ridiculously emotional. And as for the rest of his life. And I got ripped away from him in the middle of the night. And then they slandered him. They destroyed him. They said he was out of shape and he was lazy. And
all right, let's bring Adam down. That's a tremendous job. I like the theme here. I like the concept that they're not just talking game. The idea that the Mavs organization did them freaking dirty, passive aggressively, and the whole entire retrospective was insane. Who's next?
I can't remember another team taking a PR hit like Dallas has taken over the last couple months. It's literally the Mavericks versus the world. They have to move the franchise. Okay, so that's Shine on Sports, 9 to noon Eastern. Following him, that would be our friends Beetle and Decker.
Hey.
Here's Michelle and Cody picking up where Adam left off.
I had emotions across the board. I felt for Luka because that was just a beautiful thing to watch, just to be that taken over by the moment. I felt for the players who just were like, we didn't ask for this. Please stop the chanting and the booing.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And I was angry at Anthony Davis. Like, those are sort of the three sets of emotions that I felt last night. I will say also, when it's the second quarter with a lot of time left and they go, Luka with 21, I was like, wait, what? And I just remember thinking there was a player prop yesterday that was like +8 something.
It was right
and
there.
it was like Luka 31 points. And all I could think about was like, God, I would have put $1 million on this.
First half.
All right, good job, Michelle and Cody. How about that? She gets extra points for mixing in a sports betting angle. You like to see it, Michelle. Good job.
But that also classic sports gambler issue is it's the bets that you think about placing that you don't actually place always cash in the first half without fail.
Yeah, those bets are always going to bite you in the ass. Good job by Cody and Decker. Who's next?
No, well, Cody and Beetle.
Wait, how do you
Cody
say it?
is Decker. Cody is Decker.
What do you say? Decker and Beetle?
Beetle and Decker.
Beetle and Decker.
Beetle and Decker. They are on.
I wasn't doing shtick. I just
I know that was
Cody and Decker sounds right.
Yeah, I know. Noon to 3 Eastern. That's their show. Then the namesake of the channel, Christopher Russo. Remember, he's hitting the air at 3 p.m. Eastern. The Masters is getting hot and heavy. So, of course, he shifts gears from Luka last night to Rory today. Here's Chris Russo on Mad Dog Unleashed.
You know where you stand here trying to win out all the majors, and now you got an opportunity here for McIlroy, who has been fighting this scenario at the Masters for a long period of time, and we shall see. So McIlroy, who's 35, 36 years of age, hasn't won a major forever. I think it's 39 he hasn't won, and he's trying to go out there and maybe break that streak here and, put together already won 4 majors by the time he was 24, and he hasn't won one in the last 11 years. Now, listen, I look at the Masters Thursday a little bit like I look at baseball in April. You can't win the Masters on the opening day, but you can lose it.
But you can lose it. Yeah, I got you. All right, bring down dog. The old adage. But now we do this little experiment. What's a topic? And he was put in a spot that we were put in. We had to open with Masters. Luka was the story, but by the time you got to have a feel for it, by the time it came to us, that first round was just wrapping up, big guy. We had to lead with Masters. We did. We did a good job with it, got good calls on it. So I think Dog was in the same spot. He's in it in real time, and he had to go with Masters.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of live radio, right? You got to be whatever's happening right now. And for us, Luka was last night too for us. It was mostly last night because we were living in the moment as it was happening, and it was awesome. It was one of the few like regular season NBA games you will remember having watched in the regular season.
What's
like,
the biggest moment of the NBA thus far? Biggest moment of the 2024-2025 NBA season yet, but it was not really that close.
No. All right, and that brings us to, after our Doggy, 1 hour between us and Christopher, is Steve Torrey.
How'd you get this done?
Because I just.
Oh, because it was an hour. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, it's just I was able to figure it out. So here's Steve Torrey opening his show, Mad Dog Daily, that I always want to call Dog Day Sports. I will want to call it Dog Day Sports till the day I die with him and Danny Cano, but it's not that. It's Mad Dog Daily, and it's at 6 p.m. Eastern every day here on Channel 82. Here was Steve's Open.
So heading into this weekend, the top story involved Rory McIlroy. In fact, it's probably been among the top stories of the Masters for over a decade now. And if this will finally be his year, if he can overcome some of the hiccups that have plagued him over the last 10 years, which has prevented him from completing golf's Grand Slam, attempting to chase down that elusive green jacket, it's tormented him. And he's had disappointment after disappointment at this event, and the drought has carried on so long that we all wonder if he can meet the mental challenges that have
plagued
plagued
by
over the
Steve.
years.
So if you're keeping track at home, good job, Isaiah. If you're keeping track at home, 3 shows, and like it should be, because it was really before the Masters starts to get heated. 3 shows lead Luka. That was the big story coming out of last night. 3 shows goes Masters. A+ across the board today.
What really jumps out to me there, too, as well, Chris opens saying Rory has a chance to exercise the demons. And then 3 hours later, when Torrey hits the air, oh no, Rory's at it again. In the blink of an eye, it went from Rory has a chance to win his first green jacket to he's melting down in live action in front of us.
The demons. Yeah, that's interesting. By the time Chris was starting when Rory was balling and exercising demons, Torrey starts, the demons had caught up to him.
Yep. And
by the time we got there, that was the dominant part of the conversation.
And I guess right there, that is what makes the Masters special. Is it as high as you can get, as good of a start? There's always a chance you completely melt down. It's just that difficult of a course every single year, and Rory's living it out.
Be fascinating to see what he does tomorrow.
I kind of want to bet him -140 top 10. I feel like he's going to come in the top 10 because he has to fight this way and he's up against it. I like him to finish top 10.
The big guy. Why not? He's even right now. He shot a 72.
That's what I'm
top
saying.
10. Yeah. He's not going to win it.
In terms of the guys who are up there, right, that are in the top 10 currently, he is, if not as talented, more talented than most of them.
Yeah, he's not going to win it, but I don't hate the top 10 bet, honestly. I would agree with you there. Okay, good job. Media Roundup. We'll come back. We'll close tabs. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. to wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
But how am I supposed to get on J-Date? Sign up for the newsletter over at VSiN.com/newsletter. If you can't have your celly on the Sabbath, how are you supposed to holler? Right, Jacob? Sign up for the newsletter, VSiN.com/newsletter. You get set up. Like today, we had the golf plentiful in the newsletter over at VSiN.com/newsletter. It's completely free. You just enter your email address and boom, it's going to be in your inbox tomorrow morning before you wake up. I can assure you of that. Okay, let's close tabs before we get out of here, big guy. What do you got?
Yeah, we actually have a lot to discuss today because you brought up a story that I didn't know happened. Was it Angel Cabrera, the golfer? Angel?
Oh, yeah. Angel, he was in the clink.
So two
Not a
former
great guy.
girlfriends accused him of domestic abuse. He skipped a mandated court appearance in Argentina to play in a PGA Tour Champions event in Ohio in 2020, triggered a red notice from Interpol, and he was arrested in Brazil. He spent 4.5 months in prison in Rio de Janeiro before he was extradited to stand trial in Argentina. I had no idea this took place, but it makes sense why he wasn't competing in any golf tournaments in the meantime.
Angel is an all-time dunk. I like the fact that he would rip darts, like literally on the PGA Tour, just walking, smoking. That's Angel. But the problem with Angel is his hands got loose with his girlfriends, and you can't do that.
Kind of a bad person. Another thing to tie up here in closing tabs, you keep calling Justin Rose an Aussie. He's from England.
I said South African.
Or South Africa. Yeah, he's English. He's English.
Yeah, why did I say that?
His name is also Justin Peter Rose, so he's technically Pete Rose if you just go by his middle name.
He was actually born in South Africa.
Ah, okay. Well, Wikipedia lies.
But you're right. I think he grew up in England.
Same accent if we're being fair.
His nationality is England. He was born in Johannesburg. So we both win.
Okay. I mentioned a WNBA game a few years ago where the total moved, I said 20 points. Turns out the 2021 WNBA All-Star game, it moved 53 points, opened 248.5, and it closed 195.5 because the All-Stars of WNBA were facing the U.S. women's national team. That is crazy.
What was that game you said?
The 2021 WNBA All-Star game, it moved 53 points, 248.5 to 195.5.
Damn.
Mike in the OC called in. I think the least surprising thing he's ever said was that he's a lefty. I don't know why. When he said he's a lefty on the golf course, everything kind of made sense to me.
Yeah, nobody that weird uses their right hand to do anything.
Whoa, I don't use my right hand to do certain things. Let's see. Anthony Edwards doesn't have to use his hands because he's got baby mamas. Baby mamas that he pays to go away. You've heard of pay for play? He does pay for go away. He literally paid his baby mama 18 years worth of child support to leave him alone for the rest of their lives. So
is that what happened? I didn't really quite understand.
He said he paid it up front. He said, "You're not going to hit me later on, ask for more. This is what I make. This is how much I'm paying. Here's the lump sum. Now go away."
And so he just CTC, cut that check, and so not exactly connected to the kid. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I think he also tried to convince her to not have it.
It's called an abortion.
Yeah, it's
okay. Yeah,
it's a difficult subject on sports radio.
Hey, not a great subject, but we're talking about a reality.
Yeah, it's true. If you're listening, it somehow has impacted your life in some way. And in mine, my parents said yes to keep me. Bet they regret that. On this day in 1936, John Madden was born. In 1925, on this day, F. Scott Fitzgerald published The Great Gatsby. In 1912, the Titanic began its maiden voyage, which eventually we don't know how that ended, or I guess spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. And then this is the most baffling fact. In 1633, bananas went on sale for the first time in London today.
Hey, bananas are good in a smoothie. Don't sleep. Applebaum, thank you. Aguiar, thank you. Von Tobel, thank you. Good job, big guy. Isaiah, Ryan. Tom Byrne is next. We'll see you tomorrow. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.